We gotta find. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first.
That's what they say.
Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yo, what is going on? Whew. It is hot and up in here today. I'm gonna try and improve a few things on the channel. Step one is to get my sound to not sound like absolute garbage. I don't know how that's gonna do that. I think one thing I do is keep the mic too far away. So I'm gonna try and keep it. I hope this at least sounds a little better. But we'll see, we'll see. I'm also gonna improve some other things. What's going on, Benzine? How you doing? It has been an interesting day, as always, on the internet. Let's bring up gaming. So I do want to do a little. Tomorrow I start. Oh, is my gaming capture not working yet? Doing good. Had a long day today. Ah, that's hard. That stinks. Hope it wasn't too bad. Too bad. Mine was not bad. It was a little busy for my job, but my job's not busy at all. I have it easy. It's basically a retirement job. But I think what I'm doing might not be in chat for a while. I'm tired. Yeah, do your thing, Benzine. I appreciate you coming by anytime. So, uh, what was I gonna say? So tomorrow is gonna be, or not tomorrow, Friday is gonna be a big day for me. It's gonna be a change of games on the stream. I'm gonna, or RimWorld, my favorite game of all time, is going to be having dropping another DLC. I forget how long RimWorld has been out, but man, that thing they just keep dropping DLCs like there's no tomorrow. And I love playing RimWorld, so I'm gonna play it on stream. I may also start if I get my segments done quick enough for the last like 30 minutes to an hour. I may play something. I'm considering doing that tonight. My brother-in-law talked me into getting Helldivers 2, and God, that game is good. So I might be playing that too and going through, changing it up a little bit, have a little downtime, and then a little bit of the drama on the side. First thing though, oh bruv, was listening into a few of the vids on my drive home. Turn game audio down because shooting overpowers the video you're reacting to or commentary you're giving. Oh, really? You talking about in here? I will turn it down even more. Whoops. Good. I need ways to improve it. I think that's what's gonna help me in the long run with it. Now I do have it set so that if I talk, my voice takes over, but the volume for the game should be down. Let's check it out. Let's see. Yeah, the game effects is like 10-15% more. Yeah, all right. Well, that's no good. Audio. Let's turn sound effects way down. I mean, we won't really need to hear much of anything. Cutscene volume way down. See, I only have it on 16. Dialogue volume, I mean, that can be non-existent. And radio volume. So we'll see. Tiamat DeLord, welcome. Depends on the game, but also it's the software you use, battling sound issues with full sets aparter. So maybe I'll just mute the game while I'm playing it. I don't think that's that big a deal if I do that. I would rather y'all be able to hear the video than actually hear what's going on in the game. Boom, boom, boom. So we'll do that for now. Not heavily important to everything else. Boom. I'm going to actually try and get a little building done today and kind of spread this base out and get some essentials. Let's pull up something, though. A few interesting things happened recently right before stream. So we'll talk about that. And then it looks like RimWorld dropped another. So how far are you in Dune? In this one, not very far. I'm only like level 30. In my personal game, I'm about level 81. I'm building my first Ornithopter. I would probably be farther along, but I don't have a lot of time to play. And I decided to keep my stream and personal game separate, just so you don't run into any, like, you know what I mean? Just to kind of keep everything's. Nasmer has talked about coming in, though, with some of his guys and doing a guild. So that might be fun to do. Do a little PvP and head out into the sand. Boom, boom, boom. Where are we at? Let's go over RimWorld first. I love RimWorld. This is my game. There's nothing like War Game Simulator. So they came out. I mean, they've been doing all sorts of updates. There's going to be animals. They're updating the mechanoids and a bunch of other stuff. PvP is trash, to be honest. Funcom doesn't get it. I've heard that. I'll say that the combat is very janky. So it's very. I can see it not being a lot of fun. It's almost like with the close combat, they want you to be very precise in your attacks and actions, like be very slow. But that's just not how real PvP tends to work. So, but I do like the idea. I think they have a good foundation for this game, especially in the PvE. Maybe they'll make improvements though to the PvP. DD is doomed to be ruled by exploits, cheaters, than just Ornithopter. Yeah, they're trying to fight that. They put out a statement saying that they're aware of all of it and they're trying to do their best to, you know, fight against it. But I mean, that's always a losing battle. I've never seen that end up being something that works out. Like, you're just never going to beat all the cheaters, right? Best way I think is to have your own private or have private servers where the people can manage it themselves, because then, but that's in very small groups altogether. But anyways, let's talk about some. Oh, hold on. Is Nasmer still in chat? Participants. Yeah, this guy's in chat. What? I gotta ask you about something. Hold on, let me pull it up. I got a bone to pick with you. Let's see here. What the fuck is this? Hold on. So I opened up a new video. What the fuck is this? What did you put in my content loop? Why are you recommending napping on mommy's chest ASMR? That little slip of the tongue, bud? I was checking to make sure you're paying attention. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? I can tell you I will not be watching that, at least on stream. Oh, a little bit of spoilers. Maybe we'll skip the RimWorld. I'll talk about it tomorrow, because we have a few other things to talk about. He's adding to his offline listening playlist for sure. Yeah, I would never do such a thing. Oh man. So anyways, right before we got on stream, we had some little fun stuff happen on the internet, as it always does. But seriously, I like the game, but the devs don't need to maintenance again for a bit. Of 1.5 hours, I've never seen a game with many maintenance periods. Yeah, they're trying to. I like the transparency when it comes to Dune. I really do, but they need to be transparent and then do it in bigger patches, right? Because they can throw those fixes in with other stuff. Like I said, you're never going to manage all of the stuff that goes on, especially like I think the thing right now is for ornithopters to push the heavy ornithopters to the ground so that the worms will eat them. I was like, you're not going to fix that. And from what I hear around people playing it, running into like serious griefers like that is not that prominent, at least yet. So I was looking around and this tweet came up on my feed. I don't know Ethan Von Sciver personally. I mean, I've never even looked at his stuff. Is he part of the Comic Gate crew? Is that what it is? King of all social media, all caps comics, comic pro artist, secrets, hashtag Comic Gate, human sum. See, I don't pay attention to a lot of the Eves or Throat Goat is what he's call him. Well, he actually, I guess, called out Flash because Flash had, he put out this tweet earlier. Superman was great, nothing woke, and the immigrant thing is BS. It's a fun comic book movie and unapologetically so. Ethan Von Skeever, pronounced like someone who skivvies. Well, I mean, okay, I was in the military. I know that's more Navy term, but I've seen I've been in skivvies, what they would consider. So, and this contrasts very much so with Flash's normal content. Skyver, gotcha. I'm a dumb redneck from the South. Frog Daddy, he has a lot of stuff, but he's a big grifter and failed artist and was exiled from the industry. So it's like another one of the anti-woke guys, probably why he started Comic Gate or why he's part of Comic Gate. But he's calling out Flash for doing the same thing that a lot of these guys do. Maybe he's trying to change his content, or maybe they had some falling out. Then we've got, and he kind of shows off like the thing we see with the anti-wokers all the time. This is sad, using the same image twice. That's a little down to earth. Okay, it was 7 comics he hasn't fulfilled, and he has legit complaints, but he is also a YouTuber now. Oh God. So it's that the Grums pirate software meta, but but with comic books. Yeah, his lack of delivery on time and late by years is no bueno. So, but okay, so it's 2 retards fighting. It's the meme. Uh, Grums of comics, but he's actually good at art. Oh, well, that's fair. Instead of being shit at video games. But this is the meta, right? This is the meta we see on all these channels. Anything that's coming out that is related to nerd culture at all, you start seeing these videos, and all it takes is a little bit of research to see that this is all bullshit. You're using the idea, but you can't use the thing and see you in Vincent thing, the Superman. What does that? Yeah. Who are we talking about? We're talking about EVS and him going after Yellow Flash. While to me in general, this concept is a wish they would just say sorry. They're never gonna say sorry. Well, here's how you do this grift, right? You say and say and say forever that this thing's gonna be woke, and then when it's not woke, you either say something like this: Superman was great, but you'll never talk about these videos ever again. And when you get one right, you blow it up for content, right? You blow it up for content and you make 100 videos on it, and then you spout about how you were right, how you are saving comic books or saving gaming or saving news media, but you never talk about all your failures. If I was autistic enough, I would go back through all these channels and see like how many times they were actually correct about their wokeness. Like how many things did they say was woke versus how many were actually woke. What do you define anti-woke? Do you hate Hypnotic or just his crew? So honestly, I do not like Hypnotic. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Kid came into the room, so I had to censor myself and mute it for a minute. So here's my thing about Hypnotic. I've watched several of Hypnotic's takes and stuff like that. Hypnotic is probably the smartest voice crack. Probably the smartest of the bunch, I would say, but he's also the most manipulative. He's like Tectone in the way that he talks. He will dodge the actual issues. He will use false information to manipulate. He'll try and box you into a corner to make you sound like you're the bad one, and I think it's like more disingenuous. Smash is not smart enough to do anything like that. Same with like people like Eric, but Hypnotic seems to genuinely have the gift of gab, and he uses it against people. There are anti-wokers that I don't just hate anti-wokers for anti-wokers. I try and take every individual criticism. The main issue with the anti-insert here is they can become what they hate. Not all do that, but they also box themselves. Yeah, it's you end up getting to this box, and I've been saying it with a lot of these guys. And if you want to look, let's go here real quick and look at like Flash is to me one of the best examples of what happens when you dig yourself into these niches, these holes in the wall. Let's see here. Into your content, Yellow Flash. So we've got Yellow Flash, right? You look at it, he has almost 500,000 subscribers. That's a big channel. That's pretty big. But if you start looking at his recent content, 9,000, 9,000, 16,000, 27,000, 23,000. He's not even breaking 50K for his channel. So he's pushed himself into this anti-woke corner. And I actually was listening to one of my commentary guys talking about anti-wokers, and they said you can tell with some of these anti-woker guys that they just don't have their heart in it anymore, right? According style of reading articles. You shouldn't quote EBS as a source. He is a cam artist that has been orbiting, doxing, destroying enemies for him. Yellowfang and the others get filtered out by the algorithm. True. See, well, like I said, I do not know much about EVS. We are going to talk about these comments going back and forth. In reality, when talking about this, like, he's making a good point here. Whether it's in good faith or not, whether he's trying to be good about it or not, he's making a good point. These videos are, it's garbage that you would make all of this and then do this. Like, it's one thing to talk about the news around something and to even to get your opinion, but to flat out fully push the narrative that it's going to be woke, it's going to fail, I think is bullshit. You can, and this is coming from a guy who used to be an anti-woker. The issue is the subject matter, but his click-through rate is probably good. His click-through rate might be good, but that's still not going to make up for, what he was making before on his 300. He was getting, if you go down far enough, he was getting, hundreds of thousands of views. So the real way I think these guys are making money now is I think they have pretty deep oilers because they get a lot of tips. I mean, it's crazy the amount of tips. So it's a small audience now, but I think through their tips is how they're surviving as a platform for most of them, because they have already started talking about the algorithm isn't pushing us anymore, YouTube bad kind of mentality, when really, just like the woke stuff from before, the 2020s and even before that, it died out because people got annoyed with it, right? You can make good cases for people in the beginning of your thing, but once your movement gets out of control and you start having unhinged people come in, it completely loses focus, and the normies don't want to listen to it, right? But anyway, this was his initial statement. I don't really think there's anything down here that's of note. People saying I'm against woke nonsense in movies, blah, 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 blah. Nothing really on out of this world, out of the ordinary. They did I completely delete that? Where is it? There it is. There it is. There we go. I'm trying to order stuff on Amazon here. So then, I don't know, was this his tweet? I don't know what this tweet was, but I think the funny part that came into this, He thought Barbie movie was good. I've heard it was fairly good for what it was. It definitely, I guess, wasn't as woke as people thought it was going to be. It had a decent storyline for men. Check Discord on the content suggestion. Okay, I'll check that here in just a second. So, the thing that I'm seeing isn't really concerning Flash so much. Like, you can talk about his channel dying, you can talk about him being a woke, or anti-woker and all this other stuff. But what was interesting is, I'm guessing this is Craig, but the Side Scrollers podcast came in to start defending him. Man, it's really weird the way. Okay, there's a message before this, but I don't know what this one was. Did they delete this one? Oop. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Dude, the fact that he's honest enough to immediately, unequivocally change his opinion after actually seeing the film is proof that he's honest. But it's not, right? If I push the narrative that it's going to be woke and no one should go by it, you're not being honest. You're just turning it around after the fact, and saying, no, you're not even saying you were wrong. You're just like flat out saying, okay, it was good, and hoping no one else talks about it. Now, remember the writer's strike? It had a lot of people claiming this, the sides of their teams. Yellow Flash is Reverse Flash. Yeah. Let's see here. He'd be dishonest if he kept his tone and the same, despite secretly liking the film. I mean, that would be more dishonest, but it's not less dishonest to do this. Heads are going to roll. This is bad. This is bad. What the fuck is this shit? And listen, I do clickbait shit, right? I've been known to make a little clickbait. I've started making clickbaity articles. So I understand the clickbait, but there's a certain point where it's no longer just clickbait and you're just pushing the narrative on one thing. So this, I guess, is this message. So, great takes by, I'm sure, Craig. Then EVS says, man, it's really weird way of looking at it. You guys hate bombed this movie with dishonest videos based on bullshit all the way up until it was critically beloved and no longer profitable to make hate videos about it. Then you tweet out something that essentially says every video I made was bullshit because the movie was good, and then go right back to making dishonest slop using the same bullshit sources from same other projects. I mean, like him or hate him, this is what happens. And he's not naming the sources, but you're talking about places like Park Place and what's the other one? There's another one that they like to read that are they're clickbait articles. Oh, hey, this may be on today's stream if you talk about Yellow Flash and okay, yeah, we'll watch that here in just a minute. And that's what they do. It's constantly slop scrollers, Fandom Plus. Yeah, Fandom Plus. They're clearly not looking at they're not news services, they're tabloid services that spread the same thing. So if you're reading the same tabloids that are always wrong, and you're pushing the same narrative that's wrong, and you're constantly having to change it to this is good, are you really doing any good news and journalism? When it comes to that, that's what it is. EVS at the end of the day is just anything his enemies hate. Their main videos are different algorithm. Their main videos are flashes. Is that what you're saying? Well, let's look what. Whoops. Let's take a look at what his videos are the last couple days. Elon Musk shuts down Grok after support Epstein theory. Evil racist TikTok banned for calling Camp Mystic Kids trash, begs for it. Superman marketing is dead wrong. James Gunn needs to shut his mouth. Marvel won't be Ironheart. Marvel won't let Ironheart die. Insiders want to rid. I mean, this is all the same anti-woker slop. It's just in a different form. Like, this is his main channel, right? He doesn't have another one. This one's huge. So, and I've listened to a lot of their podcasts. It's not questioning the narrative. I think the best narrative questioning I've ever seen is Blabs from them. Now, with that, I don't watch every video. If you've got an option, if you've got a clip or a video or something that shows that, then we'll do it. I'll look into his live. Let's look at live. Oh, this live is not on here. Does he have? God, he's got. Follow me on Twitter. Join me a local. Twitch Yellow Flash. Because you can say that I've watched his, I've watched his live. Oh God. Does he have videos? No, he's not. He doesn't look like he uses that. If someone's got his streaming channel, then, send it up to me. Because he doesn't seem to put them here. I'm not seeing another Yellow Flash channel that he's promoting. So I'll take a look at it. I've watched 2 live things of Flash, and I have to disagree with you. One was on the Chibi reviews stuff, and it's basically just them being really soy about Chibi complaining about his death threats. And then the other one was the Goonernomicon video that they watched, where he just doesn't really say anything about it. He does talk a few times. He talks more than Endymion did on that stream, but it's nothing riveting. It's not main channel stuff. I don't know. He's just doing the same shit. He's not even trying. Now, when I was talking about the commentary guy I was watching talk about him, Flash is the example he brought up. He said, he pulled up, I think, a live stream of Flash, or one of Flash's videos, and he's like, this guy just sounds like he's defeated, like he's just going through the mix to make the money he needs to survive, but he doesn't have his heart in it anymore. So
The View.
No, don't care about The View. Join. I do not want to join his channel. How did so many videos open up? Man, I am old and bad at this. Was Fish right or wrong about modern Marvel? I mean, do you have the clips of what he says about modern Marvel? Because, yeah, Ironheart, I don't know anything about it. I don't watch Marvel movies. I don't watch anything else on there. So I would have to go through each specific target and say whether he's right or wrong about it. But that doesn't change the fact that, yeah, he might have been right about, say, Ironheart. But was he right about, and of course, we have to have one of these with Alyssa Mercante's face on it. But, how many times is he wrong versus how many times is he right? That's what it comes down to. And you can push this narrative, you can say he's right sometimes, but is it actually being right because he genuinely understands his take, or is it right because he's pushing the narrative and it just happens to be that way? With the Superman stuff, it puts question to everything he does. Exactly. It pushes the question to everything he does and everything that could be. Like, if he made this many videos on Superman and Superman is good, what else was he right about or wrong about in his content? And you can look back, and some of the stuff people have talked about, it didn't really end as badly as it could. Though it looks like he's going to bring people on. I might check this out because I don't know the people that he is bringing into it, right? Oh, does he put his live streams behind members only? That's fair. So he's bringing some people. I don't know why they do so many people. It's like, find a guy who disagrees with you, bring him on. Maybe 2 people, but all of these dudes. I don't know any of these guys. Content creator, over opinionated. But it looks like he's trying to bring people on, because it's in the moment. We'll speak about James Gunn. Hopefully that's good. I don't have a lot of hope, but I may look at it and see if it's worth talking about on stream. Where was it? Side scrollers getting into the mix was kind of weird. But we'll get off of yellow. We're getting off of yellow right now. We're moving on to side scrollers and probably Craig. So, he says this point right here. I think that's a pretty good point. Shameless, fuck Yellow Flash, sure. That's your opinion. That's not how the things work. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Okay, true. If Yellow Flash decides to report on something, he does so based on whether it's newsworthy or not. Then when the movie finally comes out, he gives his honest opinion regardless of his earlier reporting. You should want to see this to be the case. You should want these things to be separated. The fact that you don't only reveals that you have some kind of strange allegiance to your entertainment because you're tied to your identity to it. Genuinely weird behavior. This is a weird take. Saying this is weird when your entire take is trying to, kick woke out of gaming, as you would say. And no, this isn't. I'm sorry, but I fucking turned off his channel. Boop. Should have kept his channel up.
Charts. We'll get a better picture.
That's enough of that, Yellow Flash. Just even by the clickbaity titles, before we watch any of the content, we might watch this video. In fact, we might watch one of his videos. 13 minutes, that's not bad. So, let's go here. Boop. Let's make it a little bit smaller so more of them will. Okay, I guess it won't. So we got the truth is out. Superman marketing is dead wrong. James Gunn needs to shut his mouth. So we'll have to see what that one's about. Superman director slams Red State fans. James Gunn says that if you have an issue with it, screw off. Make MAGA cry. Gay reporter baits Superman cast to damage box office. James Gunn done. James Gunn Superman review leaks are awful. Movie hit with boycott from salty Indian fans. Do any of these sound like news reportings, right? This is a very clickbaity title. Like, the leaks are awful. He's already saying that the leaks have come out and they've said that it's awful. In fact, we'll go with this one. Maybe I'll get proven wrong. We'll see.
All right, so Superman is right around the corner. Next weekend is the big day for old Big Blue, and I want to see how this movie performs. In a lot of ways, there's a lot riding on this movie doing good, because there's a lot of talk of superhero fatigue and comic book movies just being done. And if this movie fails, and if it fails alongside Fantastic Four, that's going to be...
I will see. Someone mentioned to me that he sounds like he's drunk on stream and playing, and yeah, his speech is a little slow in this.
A big indicator that, yeah, this genre really is in trouble. If you're not Spider-Man or Wolverine or...
So here's the thing. He has a article, whether you want to believe it's Movie Web. I don't know what that is. Superman now eyeing record-breaking opening weekend that blows past Zack Snyder's DCEU. So where is this article getting its information from? One thing I absolutely hate that a lot of these anti-wokers do is they'll take like a news article like this. He may not do it. Let me not poison the well on it. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Or Deadpool or Batman, you're not making any money. So we'll see what happens. Now, it's tough to really track how this movie is going to do. They're saying in some cases 150 million. And this is domestic, by the way. Some people are saying less than 100 million. I don't really know where it's going to fall. So here they're saying it's going to be a record breaker, and it's going to be the highest Superman movie ever. Opening weekend, anyway.
I'm speeding
And
him
you've
up.
got this website saying ticket sales have slowed as $100 million opening or less looks increasingly likely. Now keep in mind,
Who is like, is comicbookmovies.com a big news thing? Like, who does this belong to? Comicbooks.com. Let's see what their articles look like. Comicbookmovie.com. Superman clip reveals exactly how Hammer of Barovia is able to defeat the Superman. First look at Ultraman Unmasked, now is leaked following. I mean, this one could seem pretty basic. So, Superman has some extra buzz as of yesterday prime screening, but for fans looking to avoid it, we told you earlier this weekend. Here, I'll pull this up since I'm reading it. So I guess it's a small one. If anyone's a comic book fan and this is like the place to be, it says it's the place to be, then let me know. But so far, I'm not seeing. It doesn't look anti-wokish, so we'll give it that.
this is just domestic numbers. We don't know what the international numbers for this movie look like. It could open at 200 million. Let's say it does 100 million here and 100 million internationally. That's a thing that could happen. And that would be pretty good for this movie if it opens that high. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really curious. I really like Superman. I like James Gunn's movies. I even liked Peacemaker. There was a couple things I didn't like about it, but overall, I actually liked a lot about that show. So I think with Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, like James Gunn has his fans. I think some of his success has went to his head a little bit. I don't understand why he is so much a part of the marketing for this movie. You're the director, bro. You're not in the movie. Well, actually, I think he cameos as a character in it, but that doesn't mean you're not like a big part of it. I would hope not, anyway. But yeah, they're saying it could do 175 million domestic. It could do 100. The tracking is all over this place, and there's actually a very on-point quote here where they say tracking is nonsense. Megan 2.0 was looking at a $45 million opening. It opened at 10 million. So yeah, he's not wrong there. Tracking can be wrong. We'll just have to wait and see. But
Sure, but is that an off case, or is that, because there's a lot of different places that do the estimations for numbers and things like that. I'm not a big guru on that. I tend to wait and see until the movie comes out. If I even pay attention to movies much anymore. So,
there's a little bit of controversy. Yes. There's some controversy a brewing. And that's India. Is very upset with James Gunn. They're not happy with the response that he gave.
James Gunn's India.
Question about online trolls. He said they're all from India. Now,
I mean, so there is this. I know what he's getting. I know what James Gunn is getting at. There's a huge problem with a lot of puppet accounts coming in and pushing narratives and bots and things like that. And yeah, a lot of it comes from India. They have it happen with. There's been a couple accounts that have been called out as Indian accounts for talking about like "Make America Great" stuff like that. So I get what he's going for.
I think he's just making a joke. I really don't think it's that big of a deal.
I was super disappointed in Acolyte. I wanted it to be a Sith side story, maybe a little edge of horror. And yeah, I mean, I can agree with Tiamat that it was woke slop in the way they wrote it. It was just completely missed the message of Star Wars altogether and tried to change some very major things on top of being boring. Most of the criticisms, like Critical Drinker, I remember watching one of his videos about it, and it was just so off base. Like the idea of fire doesn't belong in space. Well, yeah, but how many Star Wars movies have done fire in space? How many space movies have done fire in space? It's a movie. It's never going to be 100% right. Go back to our old movies where guys are holding, machine guns with endless amount of ammo. Animated stuff, always the goat. Yeah. As for, what was the other one you mentioned? Have they announced that they're going to close down? What's it called? Lightheart. Ironheart. Heart reviews. Marvel. Apparently there is a book. Rogers. Ironheart. Because people say something fails. Like, people push the narrative that Assassin's Creed failed because they didn't give out the direct numbers. And then when the message came out, it clearly was their second highest grossing game. Ironheart isn't getting another season. Then they kicked it out the door to fail, but they needed it for the black hate. I don't know that they needed it for the black hate. Rotten Tomatoes, what do they say about it? What is the user scores? 49, yeah. 82, even 82 for reviews from critics is not great. Even the top critics gave it 60. So Disney is pretty fucked. So I won't deny that. It doesn't look like it looked good. It doesn't look like it did well. So true. But, well, no, but it didn't do well. I'll give you that one. And there's 100 dead Disney shows at this point. Disney's completely lost the plot, I think, on even making good movies. Even when they're like, I can't say that this movie is woke. I haven't watched it, so I'm not going to say that woke killed it. It was probably a shit movie, like some of the other ones that came out. But let's see
some people are
here.
very upset about this. So I thought we would take a look at what he said. So Real Rejects here has the whole context. Let's watch this minute and 23-second clip.
It was so relatable when he was saying, I don't go online, but clearly he actually gets affected by some of the comments from time to time.
That's right.
And obviously you're active online. We've seen what you've had to deal with.
That's right. A couple little things
here and there. Was any of that infusing in here cathartic for you? Or why did you want to incorporate Superman's responses that he has towards online criticism?
Well, obviously I relate. Obviously I relate to that.
I'm glad he admitted that, because that's the whole reason that this is on here and a part of this movie. It's because James Gunn getting canceled, which, he himself had things to say about people getting canceled. He specifically went after Roseanne. And then, Karma came back and slapped him in the face a little bit. Now, he obviously didn't get it anywhere near as bad as her, because he ended up getting his jobs back. And I would say he benefited greatly from it, because it got him a big position over at DC. I mean, he runs DC now next to Peter Safran. So the type of canceling is very different. But he did still go through it. But it's like, why are you putting that hurt in this movie, man? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping it all works out. I really want the movie to be.
So is he talking negatively about his cancellation? Decades old tweets by yanking Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. What were the tweets? Deadline. Of course they don't have the tweets. So it looks like he was canceled. Again, this is me trying to read into this. They've been manipulating the numbers, but you don't dump episodes in 3 batches. So yeah, it's not about that. Remember when Ironheart was filmed, it was started in the She-Hulk era. Okay, the manipulating the number stuff is absolute bullshit. This idea that everybody has to, all the journalists and everything else have to be lying for it to be fucking, for it to be, what's the word? For it to be, for your message to be right, that they're manipulating the numbers, everything out there that's reporting on it has to be wrong. It's like trying to say the moon landing didn't happen because of government, even though the entire world is saying, or that space doesn't exist, any of those things, even though the entire world government system would have to be hiding it. It's deranged. And the She-Hulk era, sure, they were trying to make shows for the modern audience. What they saw was James Gunn's success with Guardians of the Galaxy, a really weird and niche comic book series, and they were trying to reproduce that for other types of audiences. Yeah, She-Hulk was not made for the normal gamer, the normal comic book connoisseur. It was excuse me, definitely targeted towards a whole different audience. But the narrative around that show, I still think was was bullshit about woke trash, blah 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 blah, just because it's told from what looks like a woman's point of view. I've watched a couple videos about it on both sides, and it seems completely bullshit. I don't think the anti-woke are right about that. I do think that there wasn't an audience for it because not a lot of women read comic books to this point, and there's not a lot of the type of women that She-Hulk was that would have enjoyed that film. They get that film out of a normal life, not out of a giant green woman. So it was filmed in the 21-22 period. They blamed the strike, but they knew it was a stinker. They could have written it off as they did Batgirl. So yeah, but you can't just, so for them to write it off, I believe they have to put it out. How well did Assassin's Shadows really do? 5 million copies in the first week. That's how well it did, or at least that's the predicted number by sources that are not Ubisoft. On top of it, they have stated that it is the second best-selling game that they've ever had, just under Assassin's Creed Shadows. They said that in their fourth quarter opening. They said in their fourth quarter opening that it was the second best selling. They cannot lie in that record. They cannot say things that aren't true, right? So yes, it did sell well. It was a success. They bought it buys. All right, I get it. You're completely dumb retard if that's what you believe. You streaming versus the numbers, then Square isn't doing great versus real gaming people enjoying it. Dude, Assassin's Creed has been a normie game since the beginning of its. Once it dipped away from the combat that it was doing, once it got away from the trilogy and it started making the slop RPG style games, it became a console normie's dream game, and they eat it up. What did Valhalla, I think, was a shit game, and it sold it made over $1 billion. So yes, Assassin's Creed did well for the market that was in. If you're saying botted, you're so fucking cucked with these guys that you can't see what's in front of your face. You're always gonna cherry pick the information off of your fucking off of the stuff to say, no, this is what they're saying, when the evidence is right in front of you. That's what Assassin's Creed was the whole time. So anyways, let's keep watching this.
I'm really
in here, why is he bringing up James Gunn's cancellation? It was because of what, edgy tweets. Let's see what he says. The best thing about being raped. Oh, here we go. 2009. Gunn had a tweet about how he enjoyed when little boys touch me in silly places. That's fucked up. He should have never came back for that. And the best thing about being raped is when you're done being raped, it's like, whew, this feels great not being raped. Yeah, he had some deranged fucking tweets back in the day, but this isn't, I doubt, beside maybe the little boy point, if even, even if there was more to that or not, that they were, on the cancel train with James Gunn, right? Especially since he was the guy who did the, maybe we can talk on Vince's stream, but you need to do better research. I don't need to do better research. I've watched the stuff. If you want to go into the Assassin's Creed, yes, this I'm searching into right here now on stream. But if you want to say that I didn't do the research on Assassin's Creed, you're full of shit. I read through the articles. I read through the anti-woke videos. I read the actual case from them. You can cry about it. We can go on Vincent's stream if you want to. I have no problem. You just pick the subject you want to talk about, and we can do it. But I'm doing the research right here. James Gunn got fucking booted in 2009 for some edgy tweets. What did he say here?
But canceling is very different. And I would say he benefited greatly from it because it got
Let's
him.
go. Let's go back.
What you've had to deal with.
That's right. A couple little things.
A couple little things here and there. Was any of that infusing in here cathartic for you, or why did you want to incorporate Superman's responses that he has towards online criticism?
Well, obviously I relate. You know, I mean, obviously I relate to that.
I'm glad he admitted that, because that's the whole reason that this is on here and part of this movie. It's because of James Gunn getting canceled, which, he himself had things to say about people getting canceled. He specifically went after Roseanne. And then, Karma came back and slapped him in the face a little bit. Now, he obviously didn't get it anywhere near as bad as her, because he ended up getting his jobs back. And I would say he benefited greatly from it, because it got him a big position over at DC. I mean, he runs DC now next to Peter Safran. So the type of canceling is very different. But he did still go through it. But it's like, why are you putting that hurt in this movie, man? I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
Why would a director...
I'm hoping it all works out.
Why would a director put his thoughts into the movie that he's making? I mean, really? That's the take? Yes. Every director puts a piece of themselves into the movie. Movies are art, just like games are art, just like, everything else. You put a piece of yourself into it. I'm guessing he was part of the team that helped write it. So yeah, he's going to put some of that self into him. Now, whether it goes overboard and being too, woke or too on the nose is usually the case, then that's fine. That can mean a bad movie. But him trying to, in the world we live in, Superman in the original movies and all this other stuff, there wasn't this massive internet machine that if you say the wrong thing, a group is going to come after you. In fact, if you say the right thing to one group, it's wrong to the other, and you're going to receive a massive amounts of hate. This is the era, he came from the era where they would pull up old tweets of yours and then fucking crucify you on them. So yeah, he's going to put a little bit of that into him.
I really want the movie to be good. I'm really hoping that it's good, but we'll see.
I relate to that. I do tune out most of social media, but every once in a while there's somebody who will say something. It's always the weirdest stuff. It's never what you expect. Some weird thing. I go, God, that guy, and then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, let it go. But I think that was really about the.
So that's what got him in trouble. Let's play that again, and then we'll finish it out. So I just want to play that again. This is what has people pissed. One line. And really, that's all it takes.
Some weird thing. Like, God, that guy, upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, let it go. But I think that was really about the.
So that's what got him in trouble. Let's play that again, and then we'll finish it out. So I just want to play that again. This is what has people pissed. One line. And really, that's all it takes.
Some weird thing. I go, God, that guy, and then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? I'm like, let it go.
Is this what it was? This line is what people are getting mad about, or we're getting mad about him for India? That it might be a 12-year-old in India that's doing this. I mean, it's been a meme and a joke since the internet that India was pushing out, this kind of stuff, and, farms of people. But this is what they focus on. They find one tiny little line, and then now it's all woke.
That was really about the whole scene. In fact, is about focusing on the personal human side of Clark and being able to see who he is in an interior way. And he is one of the world's best guys. He's so kind. He's always looking out for people in need, but he's not perfect. He's flawed. He has things that get to him. He has things that upset him. He can be a little bit too idealistic. He can definitely be a little too rash. And so I liked really getting to know Superman in that respect, and allowing people who go to see the movie get to know him as a full human being.
So that's the entire clip. So you got the context, everything there, and people are a little upset. The comments spread quickly on social media, especially in India, as reported by India's Financial Express, where some accused Gunn of being dismissive and racist. Critics said his remarks stereotyped Indians and minimized international fans. Supporters of a boycott are now trending hashtags against Gunn and Superman on X. Well, that's nothing new. The Snyder Bros have been doing that for years. And I don't think they're ever going to stop. Man, those Snyder Bros. Just let it go. Listen, I understand. It sucks to lose something you love, but...
So, okay. I mean, he's making a kind of a good point in the, it's probably Snyder Bros. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. Let me listen to that again.
And minimized international fans. Supporters of a boycott are now trending hashtags against Gunn and Superman on X. Well, that's nothing new. The Snyder Bros have been doing that for years.
Yeah, he's basically admitting, there's always going to be haters on the. You can't get away from gaming haters in any suspense of the world. Like if it's about comic books, gaming, anything like that, it's never enough for a portion of the audience. It's never the right Superman. It's never the right Batman. It's never good enough. It's not the right one that's out of the comic books and out of their memory.
And I don't think they're ever going to stop. Man, those Snyder Bros.
And I can be one of these guys too. Star Wars that exists now is not the Star Wars I grew up with, I feel like. And I feel like it's left a portion. I mean, there are cases, right? I think The Mandalorian was the closest thing to it. I do like some of the other stuff that's come out, the more of the cartoons than the movies. So, I mean, we all can get that way about our subjects.
Just let it go. Listen, I understand. It sucks to lose something you love, but man, oh man, they're not going to walk it back. They're never going to go back to the Snyder stuff. It's just not going to happen. The dedication, though, that these guys have toward
The problem with the Snyder guys too is like, you have to watch the director's cut for it to be good. And it's like, dude, I don't want to add an extra hour and a half, 2 hours to watching a movie for it to get good. You've got the time that I'm going to sit there and watch it. It needs to be good in that time.
towards mediocre movies. I'm sorry. They're not that great. There have been way
True,
more
Flash.
movies than the Snyderverse. I'm sorry. They're not that great. I'm not really a big fan of Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. Justice League, the Snyder version, is better than the Whedon version, but that's not saying much. I think all of those movies look cool, but I think they're lacking in a lot of ways. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So, Indian fans react. Indian fans expressed frustration, calling Gunn's comments disrespectful.
Oh, God.
Reinforces negative stereotypes. Others said it was an unnecessary jab at Snyderverse fans, who make up a significant part of DC's audience in India. Now, see, I didn't know that before I started reading about this. That's interesting. And that makes a little bit more sense when you think about it, because they're so rabidly online, some of them. And it's true. Some of them are very online. And I don't know, I guess very hurt by the way things have worked out. So I think a lot of people are just claiming they're offended when they're really just using this as a shot at Gunn because they're mad that Snyder got fired. Just my 2 cents on it. As pointed out by Financial Express, one person wrote, people from India who are defending Gunn, this is casual racism. What he did was wrong. He should apologize, or we're boycotting Superman and the DCU.
Oh, are we really like bringing up casual racism on this side? Like, he hasn't said anything bad about it, like he agrees with it, but it's like that's the take that's going to make Superman bad, is a comment about India. This would have been like laughed off by the Gamergate people during Gamergate, because he made a comment about Indian people.
Tell you one thing about boycotts, they very rarely work. Okay, we've seen
True, they never work.
Very successful boycott campaign, and that was the Bud Light campaign.
I hate to tell him, the Bud Light campaign was not as successful as he thought. Yeah, they stopped using the trans person, but they didn't really lose a lot of sales.
In fact, it was so successful.
Southern men are going to keep drinking their Budweiser, whether there's a trans person on it or not. If they don't, they start to get the shakes.
So it got other companies to change their behavior. Target, for one, changed a lot of their behavior because of that Bud Light boycott. But when it comes to entertainment, I rarely see it work. Many have tried. Many have failed. So you can threaten boycott, but not everybody is terminally online. Many people don't even pay attention to this shit. They're going to go see it if they want to see it.
True.
So the rest of the article is going over
the normies control everything.
About like his comments on India, especially their movie industry, how much he loves it, which is true. He says that it's inspired Guardians of the Galaxy and it's inspired Superman. So to say the guy is racist, I think, is a little far-fetched. He's not. I don't think he is. I think he just made a comment, which, is rooted in the call center stuff and things like that. I don't think that the guy's racist. I think that's ridiculous off of one comment. That was just a joke.
Okay.
Let's not be so uptight. It's just a joke. And I don't even think it was that bad. Like, it wasn't even that. I've heard far worse. So that's where we're at. Now, whether or not the movie does good, this ain't going to have anything to do with it. This will not hurt the movie whatsoever. It's just some bad press, but I don't think that this is so bad that it's going to hurt. In fact, this is just going to get more people aware of Superman at the end of the day. Critics, I'm going to tell you right now, are probably not going to like this movie. We had a review leak. The Daily Beast leaked their review early. They had to pull it because it's still an embargo.
Okay. So is this the leaks are awful?
But I guess the general takeaway from the review is it's superficial and silly. It's terrible and overstuffed. Now, superficial and silly, this is about a dude that can bend steel and fly in the air, and he gets hurt by green rocks. It's a comic book movie. So who cares if it's silly? In fact, I kind of want it to be silly a little bit, to be honest. After the serious, dark tones of the Snyder shit, I kind of welcome a happier, more colorful, upbeat Superman, which is what I wanted Superman, to be honest. You have Batman for the dark shit. Superman never needed to be in the tone of Batman. I never understood that, and I never will. But if there's one thing we've learned about critics, is when they hate shit in mass, it usually helps the movie. You always will see like a 90 or an 80 for the audience, and I think that's what you're going to see. I think most people are going to like this movie. I could be wrong, but that's going to come from fans, though. Can you get regular normie people to show up for Superman in 2025? That's the real question. That's the real question. We'll see. So before you go, please subscribe. Hit that subscription button.
Okay, I see what's going on
It is
here.
free to do. Also, comment. Let me know. What do you think Superman's going to do? Do you think this India boycott is going to hurt it?
Oh,
What are your expectations? What do you think the box office is going to be? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you would, please like and share the video. Also, share my
Okay, so here's my take on this video, and I don't know what his old stuff was like, so I'm just basing it off of this video. He didn't say anything. Like his title is very clearly like egregious clickbait. James Gunn's Superman review leaks are awful. When did he actually say that? He was milquetoasted saying that one reviewer leaked and they're saying normal stuff, but then his take was very much like, oh, it's still going to do well. It's still going to do this. So that's that. So what it's become of him, and I don't know how aggressive he was before on his videos. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch an old video when he was making a lot of views. But this is just, he's clickbaiting and then really saying nothing about the video. What was the other point of it? Movie hit with boycott from salty Indian fans. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he said, but the way he's writing it here, he's making it sound salacious and then having very milquetoast takes on the inside. So does it look like he was saying that Superman was going to be bad? Not by this show. But if you look at the overall message on his content, like Ethan was saying, it does paint a picture that he's been painting this. And it falls like under that salacious what's the call? What is it called? Like tabloid style article where he's just hoping people will click on the video. Very, very kind of weak. It sounds like he's trying to slip out of the anti-woke circle in a way, but he knows he has to at least make the clickbait titles. So I think that's going to be it on Yellow Flash. Oh, go watch the video I sent in Discord. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Spoiler alerts. My Pirate Software video did really well. So I hate Pirate Software, and if I can milk him for views, I'm going to. Sums up the whole drama with a T. Okay. Let's go over to boom.
All right, so I want to show you guys the price of admission for.
Okay. Oh, he made 6 hours ago. Okay.
All right, so I want to show you guys the price of admission for being a grifter in the outrage space in 2025. And that is being wrong about just about everything and then having to eat crow every single time it happens. Now, I'm going to give Yellow Flash a tiny bit of the tiniest bit of credit, but I'm going to explain why it doesn't matter in a few moments. But I'm going to give him the tiniest bit of credit for admitting that he liked the movie in spite of making nothing but negative content about it. I'm kind of shocked, but again, I've said this before with these guys. There's a reason why I can't give them like full credit for changing their mind.
I mean, if you're just going to discredit everyone I listen to, I can listen to somebody and see if their take is credible. I mean, at this point, it would be like anything that talks bad about Yellow Flash is probably a not credible source, right? But let's listen. Let's see what he has to say.
There's nuance to it. But here is Yellow Flash's statement about the Superman movie, James Gunn's Superman. Superman was great, nothing woke, and the immigration thing is BS. It's a fun comic book movie and unapologetically so. It's almost like the fact that Superman is an immigrant has always been a part of his story. So having it in the movie as part of the story, it just works because that is the story of Superman. It's almost like we all said that. And that all of the outrage around that was just dumb nonsense. It was all just outrage barking.
This immigrant side, I think I hate both sides of it. Like, yeah, I get it. He's an immigrant, but you don't have to overdo it in the times that we are as immigrants. The people saying that he's not an immigrant, he's not illegal. Is there, like, I don't know comic books. I don't know comic books particularly, but like, is there like a video where Superman goes through the immigration system because he's an alien? He was raised in the United States, but he wasn't born there, so he wouldn't follow under any of the born in the United States laws. They really don't know about him being an immigrant either until he comes out as Superman and says that he's from another planet. So from everyone else's point of view, he showed up out of nowhere from another planet. I think that could be taken as an immigrant, but if the movie has something dumb like them deporting him, that would just be, that wouldn't even match, right, with anything going on.
At the end of the day, that is the core of who Superman is. So putting that in a Superman movie.
I disagree with that, Tay. It's not the core of who Superman is. The core of who Superman is about his morals for justice, not hurting people, not, he tries to do the best to save everyone, and he tries to do what's best for the people, right?
Is never going to feel out of place because it's part of the story. Shocker. Surprise. And
hence the narrative I said he is left-leaning in and left narrative to claim it. This is why I vet sources that are bad. Also dealt with people that hate anti-fans. Are you trying to say that this guy, because he's left-leaning, he has the left narrative claim? Okay, he can have the left narrative claim and still make a good point. Like, being sides-cucked on it doesn't mean he might not have good points about this situation, right? Just saying that they're not on your team, so they're no good, isn't you going out and studying their source or vetting their sources.
And then he blames James Gunn. He goes, next time, don't get in your own way and say so much dumb shit, James Gunn. He said that Superman is an immigrant and that was going to be a part of the story of the movie. But you didn't feel like it was overtly in your face because, again, that's just Superman. But look, let's take a look at what Yellow Flash has done on YouTube, before the movie came out. This is just a few snippets of stuff he's done over the last few days. He just won't stop. Fuck you. Superman director slams Red State fans. James Gunn says, if you have an issue with it, screw off. This is bad. Shit. Red arrow going down. They love that red arrow. James Gunn's Superman review leaks are awful. Movie hit with boycott from salty India fans. Now here's the video where he basically says he was wrong. That he was wrong. And he blames the marketing where they say Superman is an immigrant and that if people don't like that, they can screw off. He doesn't like that part. Make MAGA cry. Gay reporter baits Superman cast the Damage Control box office. James Gunn done? And that's not all of them. There's a bunch more. There's a bunch more here. And this
of course, he brings up the tweet.
These guys. I want to reiterate, they don't know what they're talking about, ever. 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 Now let's talk about why I can't give Yellow Flash more credit for this. That's because these guys start the fire. They're the ones that start the fire. It's their community that does this. This isn't some organic thing that just happens out of nowhere. These guys...
Every time? No, I wouldn't say that they're the ones that start it, right? They will jump on something that may not be as big a deal as people think, but they're not... They don't always do that, right? If you want to go, this guy is a bit soy. Yeah, I agree. He's a bit soy for my tasting. So let's go with the Smash JT tweet. If anyone's seen the Smash JT tweet where he shows off the picture of the black female basketball player, and then he says, is this what fans want? That's him starting the narrative, right? Oh, there's a black person, or there's a women's basketball team in basketball. Nobody wants that. When the WNBA, from my understanding and doing even a minimum amount of research, has been in since like 2018. So what does it matter that they're putting it on the cover? That I agree with. Other things like the last video we watched of his was not them starting the narrative. It sounded like the Indians started the narrative. They got a little upsetty spaghetti, a little pissed off at what he said, and then the anti-wokers, jumped on that narrative to report it because it fits into the criteria. Are both bad? It really depends on the news that they're spreading, right? Like, bro, just because he's friends with people you don't agree with doesn't mean he can't have a few good takes. Oh, that's where you have to take his takes. People are going to be cucked by their takes. I think Tiamat is showing one of those guys who seems to be really cucked by his political takes. It doesn't mean that he's not going to have a good point here or there, right? I just have to sift through the retarded political takes to maybe find something that's good, or I have to understand that there's going to be a bunch of shit in there. So that's what we're going to listen here. Let's go back to, before we continue on with this guy, this kind of stuff right here. James Gunn's Superman review leaks are awful. We just watched that video. It leaks automatically when he said it just seemed to be one, and then said, well, it's not going to be a game for the critics, right? Because critics don't like, or a movie for the critics. Critics don't like superhero games. So yeah, that's what's going on there. That doesn't match the tone of James Gunn's Superman review leaks are awful. That's where the dishonesty is coming in. He's literally a nearly 50-year-old gativist. You're so fucking content. You are so sides cucked, Tiamat. It's fucking hilarious. 50-year-old gativist. He is also an out socialist and progressive. Okay, sure. I don't give a fuck if he is or not. Just like I don't give a fuck when I listen to an anti-woker necessarily what their politics are. I'll call it out if their politics cucked. But what are they saying, and is that true? That's what we need to look at. Did I just destroy that fucking...
What is up, guys? Coding Jesus here.
And that's not
I know, Coding Jesus.
There's
We're going to
a bunch
get over
more.
to you.
There's a bunch more here. And this is kind of par of the course for these guys. I want to reiterate, they don't know what they're talking about. Ever. Now let's talk about why I can't give Yellow Flash more credit for this. That's because these guys start the fire. They're the ones that start the fire. It's their community that does this. This isn't some organic thing that just happens out of nowhere. These guys circulate and propagate all of this stuff. Let me give you guys an analogy.
Circulate, true. Yeah, I can't take wrong with that there. It's once one of them gets it, all of them get it. I've mentioned this with the Alyssa McConte stuff, and that's, a big focus on the lawsuit.
Here. Imagine that you live in a neighborhood, and in this neighborhood, there's a house at the top of the neighborhood full of a bunch of people, and Yellow Flash shows up and starts telling you, hey, the guys in that house, they hate you. They hate you so much. They're bad for the world. They're doing nothing but bad things. They're full of degenerates. They're full of all the worst people you could possibly imagine. And I think that we should burn the house to the ground. He says all of this.
All right. So you could take that very statement and you could post it to the left. All of these guys are Nazis. All of these guys are homophobes. All of these guys are sex phobes. You should never listen to any of them. They're trying to spread hate. This is just something that both sides do. And this is why the woke fell apart in, after probably around 2023, it started really falling out, and then the rise of the anti-woke. The pendulum shifted to the middle. The middle was happy, but the problem is the pendulum doesn't stop. It switched to the right, and now all the normie people are getting annoyed at what they say. His politics defined him. He shows it. Basically, he needs a dragon to slay. It's always a struggle, and it's never done. He was a CW simp. CW haters are wrong. I do my research. You're doing the exact fucking same thing earlier. It's this guy can't put. You're telling me that he's not a good source because of his politics. You're telling me that you do research and sources. You haven't given any to me. Send them in the fucking Discord, just like Simon did. I'll take a look at them. You're politically cucked. You're not thinking straight outside of your politics. You just called him a gativist. You care more about his politics saying that he's wrong than the words that are coming out of his fucking mouth. So don't tell me he's fucking sides cucked when you're just as fucking sides cucked.
And he does it over and over and over again. He comes in your neighborhood every day, 4 or 5 times a day, and says this over and over and over again, that we should go and burn down this house because it's full of the worst people possible. And I know what I'm talking about. I have inside information. I'm the expert. You have to listen to me. I know that you don't know for sure, but I'm telling you this house is awful. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts going up and throwing matches and gasoline on the house. And they just keep burning it and burning and burning it. And then Yellow Flash is like, I'm going to go see what's inside the house for myself. He goes up there, goes through the fire, gets inside the house and finds out, wait, I was wrong. I was wrong. The house isn't full of all this awful shit that I said. Fuck, I was wrong.
What do I get for proving you wrong? I argue with Vincent. What do you get from proving me wrong? That you're fucking right. Otherwise, you're just saying shit to say shit. That's such a fucking lefty argument. I don't have to prove you wrong. I know I'm right. You're just going to be bad faith.
The house is actually full of some nice people that aren't everything that I made them out to be. So he comes out of the burning house and he's like,
you're either giving me the information for me to reevaluate my take, or you're hiding in your little hug box saying how all of this is wrong.
Hey guys, sorry, Yellow Flash here. I actually like the people in the house, and could you please stop burning it down? I know that I told you to do it. I know that I told you to do this because it's full of the worst things possible. But yeah, I like it, so please stop doing that. Could you stop throwing matches? You over there, no more matches. No more. We're good.
Okay, but that's not what he did, right? That's not what they do. You're being you're being a little soy about this. What he did was just make one statement about the movie being good. Here we go. One statement about the movie being good, and you'll be lucky if he even talks about it again. That's kind of the role that they play when they play their thing. Never mention it again. Never talk about it. Continue on.
We're good over here.
Until they're right.
So this is why I can't give him credit for changing his mind about this, because he started it. The people in his community started this, and they've been talking about it for months and months and months, for years in a lot of cases. There's some stuff they've been talking about for years, doing this for years. So no, I cannot give him any credit for that.
Okay, I don't care if you give him credit. Delete your channel if you're wrong. I'm neither of those. And don't do that. What are you neither of? You're not sides cucked? You didn't just say that he was a gativist? That's socialist and progressive? Is that not calling out his politics for being wrong and him not having a right take because of it? Of course, I'm not going to fucking delete my channel for you. That would be retarded. I'm not left-leaning or SJW. Left-leaning, I'll say. SJW? There's a lot of tactics that people like to use in the SJW days, like saying that sources aren't credible, saying that they're cucked by their politics. You're just not saying that people are racists. You might be one of those people that says the trans are trying to rape your kids, or are all pedophiles. You might be one of those guys. It's kind of the same argument that the rights or that the lefties use, just with different words.
His fault. Now you might say, well, he's doing all of this and it's not going to affect anything. He's done this before and his fans are fine with this. I'm going to show you that they're not. He posted on Twitter, man, some people are mad at me over Superman. Look, I'm not going to lie about it. If you don't like it, that's fine. Here he is trying to do some damage control. You don't even have to watch it. I'm just being honest about how I feel. By the way, I haven't given the movie a score yet, which I would put either a 6.5
I'm waiting to you, Matt. You let Vincent know the subject we're going to talk about. I'll do my little bit of research. We'll go on and talk.
out of 10. So this is him doing damage control because he realizes that his base, the people that have been lighting the house on fire, don't want to stop burning the house.
Have I given, let me say this. Have I given this guy weight on everything that has he said? Have I not corrected him on stuff? Or are you just not seeing that and you're leaving it out? Right?
Shocker. They don't want to stop burning the house because you have created a community of people who live on outrage and hate. They don't want to hear
God.
you say that
Please.
a movie is good. They don't want to hear you say that you like a movie. That is against everything that you have trained them to be. This goes against all of your previous thoughts and opinions on any of this stuff. You're trying to convince the people in your audience, maybe you misunderstand them, I don't know. You're trying to convince the people in your audience that James Gunn, someone that you have gone after for years.
How about this, Matt, while you're here? What is the bad take I had about Yellowfish? You say he's mostly right. What about what I said is wrong?
4 years that somehow this movie now is really good and they should go and support it. So the issue with this is your fans are going to reject this. The vast majority of them are going to reject this because they're going to go on what you have taught them prior to this. So they're going to reject this and you're going to find out that the money is not there. And you're going, wait a minute.
Okay.
Isn't bringing him.
This guy is just super soy in the way he's talking about it. Yeah, they're doing it for clicks and views. I agree with that.
Much
I
money.
do. Okay. What did I say that made him seem like a villain? When did I say that he was a villain? I said that he is rage baiting with his fucking comments and not really saying anything in his fucking video. I even stepped back on some of the thinking of him being just like some of the other anti-wokers in there. He is absolutely rage baiting by the way he does his clickbait videos. They are horrendously clickbait. So what about that is wrong?
Or for me, and now I talk positively about stuff that's not going to be bringing in much money for me anymore. What am I going to do?
I'm just out of here.
Everyone, this is a good example of why this outrage thing is dying out. There's a great example, and we're gonna have to watch what happens here, what the switch up is. There's a great example of someone for one.
I mean, you're already giving him a switch up. Like I said, I don't think he's going to say much more about it. We'll see what he does on his podcast. I don't know. I'll have to go look at the people that he's bringing on to see, is he bringing on dissenting sources? I've very rarely in the few videos that I watch, the videos that I watch when I'm trying to look to see if something's going to be up there, see people that are genuinely against their takes, right? Or that will press them on any of their takes.
Once going in and enjoying something and then trying to tell their fans who they've taught to hate everything that they shouldn't be so hateful towards it. They should give it a chance. Am I surprised? No, not at all. Yellow Flash is a piece of shit and his entire audience is a bunch of pieces of shit. So
Are they? Are they though? I mean, yeah, there's the there are the genuine absolute retards that will just follow any lip. But if you want to look at it, like the thing is there were a lot of people that really fed into some of the narratives. I still agree with some of the takes about some games that were back in the day. I'm critical of Dragon Age, even though I know I have audiences and people who like them, right? It was very on the nose woke. It's one of the best examples that you can use as woke. But then you start seeing the other ones that come in there. or the other movies or the games that come out, like when they went after Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because there was a gay scene. That was just absolute retardation. Had nothing to do with it, and the vast majority of people don't care about something like that. So it's the idea that all of their fans are retards. No, a lot of them are normal people who were tired of some things that they saw the woke pushing, so they went over and started listening to guys, and in some cases, guys who had some good takes, and some guy, and at least in the beginning, and they're just tired of this insane content mill that's no longer really about the games. It's about getting those clicks and views. Some of the people are absolutely dishonest in gamers. Like, I think Smash JT is an absolute fucking weasel. Stuttering Craig, his history shows he only cares about trying to stay with whatever's popular and making money. He will always move his channel to that.
Fighting about whether or not they should like a Superman
Those are points you can make.
movie. And then in some of his comments, he's like, yeah, it's a movie made for kids. It's a family film. Crypto's amazing. Like, this is the kind of stuff this is why it is so dangerous.
Oh God, don't.
Dangerous to cultivate outrage prior to something coming out instead of waiting until it comes out and then going in on it. If you want to report on a story, like if a story comes out and there's a legitimate thing to talk about, I've never had an issue with that. I've never had an issue with that. But to pick a side of that and run so hard with it, along with all of the misinformation and disinformation they do, it creates nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel.
Want to burn the house down. And once they start doing that, once the fire starts, they don't want to stop the fire.
Okay, but you've already said that they're dying out. So the thing about fires, and I've said this with all this kind of rage bait content in it, all of this, when you're just sitting it to try and make someone angry, you're flooding the internet with this kind of takes. It burns out quickly, especially if you get yourself into a niche. I mean, most people don't break out into having bad takes and making money like Asmongold and Tectone do, right? That most of the time they burn out. And even with YouTuber, they burn out quicker than even normal YouTubers would. I'd say the lifespan for the average YouTuber who gets monetized is probably 5 to 10 years. It's I can't believe you just said that, Tiamat. What do I get for proving you wrong? The satisfaction that you were right? Like, all right, Tiamat, can you ever just look at a situation and realize that you were wrong about it? Have you ever done that? It's going to be an interesting conversation when we come on. But yeah, these kind of groups, just like the anti-woke, burned out quick, or just like the woke burned out quick. The anti-woke are going to burn out just as quick. Look at I can't take the heat. If you say so, bud. If you say so. It's always the narrative. I made you mad. I made you mad. But yeah, it burns out quickly. This type of stuff burns out. BreadTube is another one that burned out quickly. Don't worry, we'll get it scheduled. But it's the same. It burns out. Like I'm saying, it burns out, and people move on because if you want to be successful in YouTube, and this is coming from a guy who's nowhere near successful yet, just seeing the guys that I have, is you have to be diverse in your type of content. Like a lot of the drama guys that stay around forever, or the commentary guys, or whatever you want to call them, they stay around because they're not talking about one particular subject. They're talking about a variety of subjects. They'll talk about this one day, that one day. Usually it's going to be the popular news, but even then they start talking about little shitters too within their area. Scary, I brought Tiamat here. It's been fun talking with him. I don't mind dissenters in my chat, whether they agree with me or not, whether they have bad takes or not. If someone's going to prove me wrong, it's going to be someone that I disagree with. But But this guy's take towards the end here that this hate machine is terrible. No, it has its problems, and you get the more crazy people that are very niche that may do crazy shit. But for the most part, it's just screaming into the void, right? It doesn't greatly change what the average consumer does with their media, right? It's Superman was never going to fail because the anti-wokers were saying it was going to fail. Acolyte didn't fail because the anti-wokers told you it was going to fail. It failed because it was already bad. If it had been good writing with the woke stuff in it, it would have actually succeeded, right? But the storytelling was awful. To me, the lightsaber combat was atrocious. I come from a really cultured day and age where lightsaber battles actually had meaning to them. The greatest, to this day, I will say it, the greatest sword fight lightsaber duel in Star Wars history is the final fight between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's only one slice in it, but it is like all of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's character in the game or in the show in one swipe, and a few in the way they hold their weapons and in the way they strike. And it tells the story of the samurai influence of Star Wars, because they literally did the samurai duel. So anyone who wants to say otherwise can fight me. That's the best fight scene in Star Wars. Anyway, not bad, Vincent. I mean, I get what he was going for. This guy was extremely soy in the way he brought it up, but he did make a couple of good points about the anti-wokers in that side. I don't agree with like the end of his statement that this is all going to be, it's all huge hate farm and it's dangerous. It's just
So Yellow Flash,
if that was the case, if it was so dangerous, then episode 1 and 2 would have seen a lot of the same stuff. The only thing is it's more online, right? People aren't out in the streets killing each other over the Superman movie being gay and woke, right? You'll have retards that'll do unhinged things, but those, I still maintain to this day, are few and far between. People aren't getting swatted on the regular. Police have control of it, and most of these people are going to jail now. All the criticisms I have of Pirate Software complaining about stuff, I would say that this guy would probably argue is the same. So with that, that segment turned into is this Eric debunks that being watched? Yeah, that's who it was on it. Obviously, an extreme hater of Yellow Flash. Personally, I think at least current Yellow Flash. My take on current Yellow Flash is I agree with some of the commentary YouTubers that I've seen talk about him, which is very rare. He doesn't have his heart in the game anymore. He's making the atrocious clickbait titles to get people to click on his video. It's not working anymore, because when you see him talk in the video, he's very, very milquetoast. I regret that now. It's very, very milquetoast. Like he's over. He's using a rage-inducing statement to try and for a point that's going to be very soft. Very soft. So that's my take on him. We'll see. Maybe I'll go watch the video. I don't follow Yellow Flash that much, so it's been interesting to learn, at least look and learn a little bit more about him. Apparently, me and T-Matt are going to be on Vincent's stream soon. We'll get that hashed out, and we'll argue probably this subject. I think we'll get it hashed out what we're going to argue, whether it's gaming or this particular subject in general. It'll probably be this subject, I'm sure. So now it's time to start milking the views. Now we're getting into my favorite subject and my favorite person to hate. I was hating Pirate Software before any of these people were picking it up, especially the anti-wokers. People still don't know about Maldavius Fig Tree. They don't know what tying the knot means. Take care, Vincent. But thank you for curing us of this dork. Is he not? Is he gone? He doesn't need to leave. No, he's still there. He's watching. That's fine. He could stay. But yeah, people don't know what tying the knot means. You know, people don't understand that. They really don't know Maldavius fig tree. They don't know about Eve and how the community and the guild that he or the corporation that he was a part of hates him and has emojis of him making fun of him and stuff like that. They don't know all the lore. So I've milked it a little bit, quite a bit, we'll say. But I said I was not going to cover anymore. I said I was not going to cover anymore. But then Coding Jesus came around and he brought back my faith in in hating on pirate software. So from what I've gathered about Coding Jesus, he is a programming YouTuber.
Yeah, so right now I've been working with C++.
He has done several videos on different things. It looks like for people who know about coding, he does kind of help videos, things for beginners, that kind of stuff. So he decided to weigh in on, in their view, it indoctrinates them to be influenced by them. This is the thing versus him being a fan. What do I know? But you realize you can be indoctrinated too, right? That you may not be looking at your side critically. I'm by no means a centrist. I was very much an anti-woker. I'm very heavy leaning on the right side. But looking just below the surface shows me many disingenuous tactics that both the anti-woke and the woke use. But I need to stop getting off topic. We're gonna watch. I reviewed Pirate Software's code. Oh boy.
Guys, in today's...
Nope. Come on.
Because literally anything would be better than this. What is up, guys? Coding Jesus here. Guys, today we will be doing a code review of a popular YouTuber and streamer by the name of Thor or Pirate Software. Now, why should you care and who the hell is Thor? Well, Thor has been the talk of the town as of recently, as he's been an extremely large streamer that has come out against a pro-consumer movement in the gaming space called Stop Killing Games.
Oh man, that's just the surface of the Maldavius fig tree lore.
Stop Killing Games is an initiative launched by a man named Ross Scott, who is an advocate for consumers in the video game space. The purpose of Stop Killing Games is to prevent publishers from revoking access of games from people who have paid to play those games. There are plenty of examples out there of publishers that produce games that require online access to play, but once they pull the...
Hold on. The last thing I'll say is Yellowfish and others are just top of the game. They are bound to fall from the top. YouTube fixes itself as nature heals itself. Happens every time. Top channels rise and fall all the time. Well, yeah, that goes back to the burning out issue, and I agree with you there. The algorithm, people complain about the YouTube algorithm all the time, and it has a lot of problems, right? We've seen people lose their channels over the dumbest. Dropping a mic was a recent one I remember seeing, and it being hit for child endangerment or something like that. But the algorithm is going to feed you when people want to watch your type of content, right? Good example is me. I have been averaging about 100 views with it was 30 subscribers. I'm now up to almost 60. So my content was on the slow rise as I got more and more. I'm trying to improve things that make people want to keep watching my videos. So hopefully this stream will be better. But I put out a video on Pirate Software, and that one's at almost 2K views. Does that mean my next video is going to be 2K views? Well, no. I put out another kind of Pirate Software video, but no one really wanted to watch it. it's what people start to watch. You find something that gets you into the algorithm, and then they stay for your content. Once your content is no longer enjoyable to them, you either evolve your content or you die out. That's just kind of how it works. So, but let's see here. How are publishers destroying video games? An increased number of video games. Oh, yeah. He's just going over the whole thing.
Consumers now stop having access to those games. The Stop Killing Games movement is looking to advocate on behalf of consumers in order to mandate that game publishers and game developers have some sort of end-of-life plan for games such that they can continue to be played after the developer would like to stop supporting them. To me, that makes total sense. It doesn't sound fair and isn't right for you to be sold a game as a good, but for it to effectively be a service with an unknown expiration date that the company can not support at any time. Okay, now why am I picking on Thor here in particular? Well, Thor has not only what appears to be lied about his experience, or at the very minimum played it off as something that it's really not, but he's also misrepresented the initiative and has doubled and tripled down in that misrepresentation.
If you're going to be putting forward something that you want to start a conversation to eventually become legislation, and these are the reasons for it, not only can I not agree with the initiative, but I can't agree with you, and I won't agree with Ross. There's no way around that. I think this is gross. To sum it all up, no, I will not be supporting the initiative Stop Killing Games.
Cryptically wishing for the movement to fail.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
I don't know why you do that, but he decided to do so. He doesn't even have to agree with the movement. He just needs to admit that he misrepresented it. Now, other creators have reviewed this drama to no end and have gone over his employment history and timeline. But what I want to do that I guess would make this video unique is go over his actual code from his developer live streams and analyze whether this guy has the skills that he claims he has as a 20-year veteran.
Now, this is what I want to hear. So I've been saying for a long time in some of my first videos talking about Pirate Software that I think he's a guy who just spins stories. I've known people like this throughout my military career. You always get these guys who are like, I was special forces, when actually they were like a cook for a special forces unit. So they have the patch, and they'll spin ridiculous stories no matter how hard they are to believe. And and that's just what Pirate Software sounds like. I especially thought this when you're talking about him winning awards. I think he's going to go into it, so I'm not gonna clip him.
And game
the Special Forces janitor. Yes, Kimoji. Perfect way to look at it.
Developer working for Blizzard and other game publishers, etc.
My name is Jason Thor Hall, also known as Pirate Software Online. I've been in the gaming industry for about 20 years. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment, then Amazon Game Studios, and now I own my own studio, Pirate Software, by the same name, which is an indie studio, and I've been here for about 8 years now.
Now, why should you guys listen to me about any of this? Well, I'm a C++ developer with 5 years of experience in the quantitative trading space. I've read dozens of books on C++ and over half a dozen books just on C++ design, from influencers in the space to professors to people that also have YouTube channels to time tested and trusted.
Let's flex. I like it when we flex it. I don't think I've ever seen Pirate Software flex his credentials.
Books. I've read a lot, and while I'm not an authority in C++, I'm pretty likely to be somebody that can suss out a bad practice if I see one. At least I hope. I also have a bunch of open source contributions in C++ on projects that I find interesting, like Monero. Now, when I was making notes for this video, because I like to come prepared, I thought I need to go through dozens of different developer streams. But what I found out really quickly is that I can only find 2 developer streams that Thor actually brings up code on the screen in. And in those developer streams, he, one, does not actually do any coding. The code is just visually there on the screen. And 98% of the actual stream is him looking at his subscribers, looking at his tip jar as to how much money people have sent him, and also looking at videos about games, but never actually doing any game development in a dev stream. Without further ado, let's actually take a look.
What a surprise that he's not even developing in front of his fans. So it's like, when does he do it? When is this? When is Heartbound actually being made?
Look at some of his code. All right, so I'm going to be linking these VODs in the description box below. I recommend people actually download these VODs before he takes them down, because honestly, if I was claiming I'm a game developer with 20 years of experience, this would be embarrassing to have online. Let's take a look at what's really wrong about this. And I don't even need to be a game dev to understand that. When you look at the code here, what do you see? You see a lot of magic numbers. That's an industry term for numbers.
So this isn't the first time I've heard this magic numbers thing. There was another, I want to say, game developer that came in and talked about the magic numbers. That was kind of really the only thing they talked about. I don't remember much else, but
that don't have any description or explanation.
How many gaming YouTube people have we seen fall? Yeah, still on this one to you, Matt. Yes, they come and go. And that's kind of why I'm not, like, I tried doing the gaming thing a little bit, and while I enjoy gaming, I don't feel like I'm as animated or having as much fun. So that's why I like doing stuff like this, talking about internet personalities while I terribly play video games.
As to what they are or why they exist.
You have to find your niche, and if your niche is too niche, it's going to die out on you.
And you also have a lot of true or false, which is not descriptive at all. When you
let's see here. The greats have fallen and caught up in drama. Thor made the argument he is an ex-Blizzard employee. His dad inspired the South Park character. Yeah, I know his dad. That's where we get the Nepo baby thing from. But if you look at his history of, I'll have to see if I can find the video, because that guy also goes into Thor's history. He was never a video game like coder. He started out in Q&A, which, from what I understand, this is me watching one video, but from what I understand, like, you don't have to be a deep knowledge of code or to be able to write code to be able to do that job. His next one was in the cybersecurity field, but he was like a bot farmer or something similar to that. So he doesn't have, just because you work at Blizzard doesn't mean you have what it takes to code a video game. And from what I think we're going to hear here is kind of show us why.
You look at any function call as another developer, you should understand what's going on without needing to read through the implementation of the actual method itself. So part type sprite, part type size, I don't need to read through that to understand what's being passed to it and what it's doing. But that's not what's going on here. I should need to ask myself, what is this number 1? What is the 0? What does it signify? Right? Imagine we have a car object, and I create the car object by passing in 96, 4, false, false. Do you have any idea about what those numbers mean?
Nope.
How I'm initializing that car? You don't.
I'm going to be straight up when we're talking about this. Like, I'm listening to the guy, but it is like trying to understand French to me. I get what he's saying about the numbers. It should be some kind of connection. Like, you should be able to look at the code and say, I've done very basic code thing. Like, when I say basic, I mean like HTML basic code. And yeah, you can, if you don't actually put stuff in. So I understand like using the numbers, but I also understand how it can get very, very hard to read very quickly.
A step above that, a better alternative would be to specify in words what 96 means. For example,
okay. So he had that example where it goes door number equals 4, horsepower equals. So it's just giving like a little description. Let's go back to the other one. Where is the first one?
Specify.
Okay, he said specify. Here's the first one. Okay, I see what he said. These are just numbers. What do they mean? This one means horsepower. This one is door number equals 4. Okay, that makes sense. The issue is he's using a as base to it. Does he have to hard code, or is base provided? True. Like I said, I'm not much of a coder.
In words, what 96 means. For example, unsigned.
I know he's using RPG Maker, right? I believe that's what he's using. So if anyone knows anything about RPG Maker, what that provides at a base for it, let me know. Oh, it's Game Maker. I'm sorry. Then Game Maker, whatever, how much of a base can you get from that?
32-bit integer.
Oh, whoops.
Horsepower equals 96. Number of doors equals 4. Is automatic equals false. Is electric equals false. And then pass that into the construction of car. That is the bare minimum. That's what I would expect out of an intern that's fresh out of school. Taking that a step further, you can implement a concept called strong typing, which is the most expressive form of instantiation. What we can do in that case is define an alias at the bare minimum or a class, and we can call it horsepower. And then we can create an enumeration for things like transmission or fuel. And then we'd alter the car's constructor and pass in that information. Horsepower 98, door number 4, transmission automatic, fuel gasoline. You don't need to be a game developer to know that that's a lot more maintainable than whatever Thor has here.
So let's see here. This isn't the Grums that just can't get off of Twitter to even finish the game. Thor is using a thing. He can just drop it in and use it. He doesn't have a drive. Yeah, I think that's a big portion of it. I think what happened personally is he hit it big because he was working on Heartbound, I believe, before he got really big, if I remember right. And then he really stopped working on the game. Updates stopped on the game. He got the little notification that it's been more than however much time since an update has been done. And until he was called out on it, you know, he never did anything about it. He clearly just likes sitting online, making tons of money with people soy clapping every story he tells.
Another really good example of that is at 2556. So if we jump there, okay, right here. Alarm 0, alarm 1, alarm 2. What is that? What are those alarms? Is it an alarm for person A, an alarm for whatever character, an alarm to do what? It's unexpressive. It's really spaghetti code, in my opinion. Okay, let's go to around 1 hour and 4 minutes. This is also a complete mess for a couple of reasons.
There is also the argument on the streams because he does it offline. ESV does this and says draws offline between dealing with his family. Well, it's hard for him, to me, it's hard for him to make the argument he does it offline when no updates are coming in. Well, micro updates are coming in, and he's even saying that on his videos that, you know, these are dev blogs. Hey, I'm going to come on here and code while I talk. And he never does. He never gets on. Obviously this guy's looked through them and there's no coding in him. He just has the code sitting there while he does his normal stream.
Reasons. First of all, Thor is using the incorrect data types. This isn't even getting to some sort of advanced design or design pattern. It's showing a complete lack of understanding how to represent information in a program. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, look at question asked.
If I had to say not Grums, if I had to say Pirate Software was closer to somebody, I don't think it would be Grums. I think it would be Yandere Dev.
Equals 0. Question asked, in my opinion, is true or false. Has this question been asked? It should be a Boolean data type. What does 0 mean? Booleans are represented as integers under the hood. So in C++, anything that isn't 0 is true. So 1 is true. But why would you even give another developer the option to write question asked equals 42? In theory, that should be true, because anything other than 0 is true, but why even allow somebody to write code that can potentially be that confusing? It's just a no-go. Another thing here that I noticed is the absurd amount of comments. Most of the time, you don't need to write comments in your code. That's because your code should be self-documenting, but there is a 1 to 5% case rate in which you should be writing comments only if your code is extremely complex. And that's not the case here. This is a simple if statement and a simple switch statement. You don't need to add comments here. Having a comment for we have asked the question and question asks equals 1 is totally superfluous, a waste of time, a waste of space. I'm not sure why it was added, if not just a waste.
So he's basically saying that Pirate Software is like a kindergartner when it comes to actually putting in his code. I noticed the main thing with these people, what is it? They are so they're so SM addicted. I get addicted to the drama. Gaming Twitter is cancerous. Yeah. I mean, I like drama. Why hasn't, are you talking about Grums? Why hasn't GRRM finished Game of the Year or Game of Thrones? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you get, I see what you're trying to say when talking about that. Yes, you get, they get addicted to the clout and everything else that they stop focusing on the game. Like, look what happened with that exact, George R.R. Martin, is he started working on other projects. He jumped in on From Software. There's tons of books out there that are like co-written by by Martin and all these other things. Less of a kindergartner, but more of a special ed. True. Oh goodness. But yeah, I mean, they once you have a niche where you're making money at, why would you want to put effort in to doing the thing that you said you were going to do? That just seems like work.
Time on a dev stream to spend more time pretending you're coding than watching videos. Okay, let's take a look at his second stream, because the rest of this stream is reviewing other games, looking at his subscription count. I don't know why he gets so horny looking at this.
Is he really bringing? I don't think I've seen that. That is new lore to me. Hold on. Oh goodness. And this is kind of the thing, like, look, when he's coding, he was just at 249,000, or his donate goal 300,000. Jesus Christ, man. I need to find the milkers that he has. That's what I need right now. The X furry lore. You want that? I've already been down the X furry lore rabbit hole. I'm into the sexting about nodding rabbit hole.
I don't know why he gets so horny looking at this. Watching video games, etc. You guys get the point. Storyline array number. Oh my god. Here he appears to be storing a timeline of events in a flat one-dimensional array with random numbers as the indices in order to represent said event. So literally anything would be an upgrade over what is written here. For example, what he could have done is created a nested structure where all those default values, instead of being hard-coded and written in some file, can simply be stored in a YAML or configuration file that could be edited outside of the build as to not waste time rebuilding the entire application in a YAML or XML format. That's development 101. You learn it in the first week of your new job as either an intern or a junior developer. What's even worse is he now also needs to remember what 419 means. So somewhere in his code, he needs to actually add a comment or something to represent what 419
I see what I did there.
As you can see here, I found the file that contains all these events, which are the association between a magic number and some state. It's very obvious that this can get very unwieldy extremely quickly. As you can see here, he has some number associated with 0, 1, or even 2, and then he needs to detail in a comment what that means. Now, imagine a developer accidentally puts 2 here or 3. Finding, tracking, and solving that bug is really going to be a development nightmare. What if you forget to type 3 here and accidentally type 2 and start associating coffee cold knowledge with floor 2 coffee?
God, as a guy who is like dyslexic, this is why I knew I was never going to be a coder. Like, I used to want to, I talked about computers and all that other, I really wanted to be into IT, and I could have probably done some stuff with IT. But I looked at code and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be able to get that. I got so frustrated with finding the wrong thing I did in simple code that I was like, yep, I'm good.
Age. Or even worse, in your code somewhere, instead of typing 213, you type 214, and now need to go back and track why your game is misbehaving. This is extremely poor practice and can get very messy very quickly. Not only that, but this is going to significantly decrease the
You know, we were talking about the clout too when we're talking about pirate software. And yeah, I agree that's one of the main reasons, but I also think that one of the reasons is what he's talking about right here, that pirate software has made the code so unwieldy that it's such a pain in the ass. And what does he do? He can't start over. Half the game is out. People can download it. So he has to keep trucking on with the spaghetti code. And he just does. I wouldn't want to do that. I would be like, we gotta just delete this game and pretend nothing happened.
velocity of your development, because you're going to need to jump between the storyline vars file, find the event you want to reference somewhere else in code, and go back to that line that you like to reference the event in. So you're going to constantly need to be jumping between files, forgetting, potentially mistyping, and it's just a recipe for disaster. When it comes to the nested structure though, tell me what you think is better. What Thor has here, or what I have on screen, which in my opinion is much more expressive. Now this goes beyond simply liking code better. What I have on screen is objectively better because it makes it harder for you and others to make mistakes, and it's a lot clearer as to what's going on. I don't even need to know how this game is designed to understand that whatever he's doing here is not optimal. I also don't need to recommend the most optimal data structure, because literally anything would be better than this. Another thing that's really, really weird is that he's using these numbers to represent people, and now everywhere he writes the number 1 and when it represents a person, he needs to remember that it's Shelly, which is presumably a game character. Imagine removing all these comments. Would you, as a newly added game developer to his game project, have any idea that 1 is Shelly? You would have no idea. This would never ever be allowed in a production repository. And like I've been hinting, it's below what you'd expect of a bottom tier intern. One way to improve this is to write case and then switch on an enumeration. So case character Shelly. That is way.
Okay, I'll give him this. Like, yeah, he's shitting all over his code, but he's at least trying to give him options like, hey, this is what you could do to improve it.
Way better to whatever he has here.
The problem is I wonder like how much work it would take pirate software to go through all of his code and make it readable. Like, is that ever going to be a thing that he wants to do?
Another example is at 159. More magic numbers, 32. What does message 32 mean? What does message 65 mean? What does message 97 mean? And what are these dialogue options 2, 5, 6, 0?
Modern gaming, anyone? Like, this is why people use Unreal Engine or established engines as a base. Most try not to code themselves. This is why we have game bugs. Well, I think code has become part of that is I think code has become so unwieldy in general, even when you're good at coding. And you see what happens to companies that keep trying to update their engines. The Creation Engine is a good example. That it was, people have been saying they should get rid of the Creation Engine for years because it just, you update it for one game, but then you have to predict what the market is going to do, or you have to code around the mess that you've already made. It's probably a lot cheaper to just delete, or to go to a company that's all they do, like Unreal Engine, that's what they do, and do it that way, than it is to make your own engine. But Creation 2 engine is good, and evolved FO4 engine, maybe there are in cases. I don't think, is that what they used for Starfield? Because it still looks like Creation Engine 1 to me. I mean, there are good things within it, but it's still building upon the basis of the Creation Engine, right? It's not a whole new engine that they build from the bottom up. Well, that's somebody getting eaten. It's one that they've built on top of, and that's why a lot of these engines I think have disappeared. Now, like I said, I'm a layman's when it comes to it, but it's just cheaper to pay for the software to code on than it is to keep having an R&D team update your software. At least that's my thinking of it.
This is a call.
Also, with Unreal Engine being the way it is, it's definitely cheaper for smaller indie games that are starting to rise up to use something like that.
Culmination of my past couple of comments, all in one steaming pile of. Surprisingly, that is all the code that I can find in these game developer streams.
This is the game that I work on. It's called Heartbound. Now understand something. Before I send you this link, do not buy my game.
Grums on X? Yes.
What the fuck just happened?
Own the Chud strategy.
Oh, that was the end of the video.
Extremely large stream. That is all the code that
Okay. So I couldn't find Pirate's response to it, but I'm hoping he'll play it in his next video. Pirate Software responded to my review code. So we're going to watch this one, get in the rest of the content going on with this particular drama.
In this video, I want to review the top contentions that not only Pirate Software had, but a lot of his fanboys had with my video yesterday, in which I reviewed the code that he wrote for his game Heartbound. Now, while the video was a stunning success in terms of engagement, there was a couple of themes that kept repeating from detractors that I think are worth addressing in a separate video. So let's get into it. The first claim that I saw time and time again is that your code quality shouldn't matter if you're a solo game dev, and that code quality only somehow matters if you work in a team. Now, you'd think that if you're working on a passion project, you'd be interested in holding yourself to the highest possible standard, since you can make your own decisions, free of any corporate timeline, and not subject to demands of other employees.
That is a pretty ridiculous statement. Like, oh no, you can be just a bad coder as long as it's just you that's doing it.
Employees. You know, they say this with such confidence, as if poor code is not going to hold you back in your own development process, and you're somehow impervious to the effects of your poor decisions as long as you make those bad decisions yourself. Usually when you work with a team, you can get away with poorer code because you won't need to deal with the consequences of that code as you pawn it off to somebody else and work on something totally separate. But as a solo developer, you need to deal with and contend directly with all the trade-offs that you make as you make those decisions while you code your game or your project or your whatever. In other words, every decision you make will either make life easier for you or harder for you down the line. As technical debt accumulates, you bear the entire burden of that debt, which slows down development.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is like the technical debt. No, it's not like I see where you said you're not yanking out the base engine at the point of development. If you hurt your engine like Halo Infinite, then it has the game out the door. It's hard or not effective to expand. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, you know, when we get back to the creation engine and talking about Bethesda, they're famous for their bugs, and they're famous for the same bug across multiple games. So it's like the engine has this bug that they can't fix, so they're continuing to push it. You know, they're just like ignoring it instead of trying to find a way to fix it, or they're trying to fix it, but there's never a good solution.
Now, for those of you who aren't technical debt is a term that refers to the extra work you're going to need to put in down the line, because
I agree with you there. Definitely not disagreeing with that. It's the jank we love. I liked going back into games that I like and seeing the jank that's in them, but it doesn't hide the fact that it's jank that they haven't fixed. Like, they're not keeping bugs in the game because it's what the fans want. They're keeping bugs in the game because because we'll let it slide, right? It's just Bethesda. That's what they do. They have janky games, so we expect it to be that way. When really Bethesda should be putting in the work to get rid of some of these bugs.
You currently made a decision that was not ideal. So you are delivering something faster today, only to slow down future delivery tomorrow, the day after, the week after, the month after, etc. It's kind of like a ball and chain that's tied around your leg, and every step you take forward, that ball grows and grows and grows, which decreases the velocity of your development. Now, the fact that Heartbound has taken over 8 years to development and is still in early access, despite the fact that the game took inspiration from Undertale, which took less time.
Ooh, this is going to be a hard hit for him, for Pirate. Because Undertale was what, one developer, and he did it within a year, I want to say. God, I never played it. It's really not my type of game. Heartbound wouldn't have been either. I like pixelated games. It's just, I don't like the Earthbound style necessarily, is what it kind of felt like.
And provided more content is a reflection of the fact that code quality is important, and it will stifle your development if you do not take it seriously. And it's kind of ironic because the same people that are trying to make excuses for poor code are the same people that actually play the game and are expecting features to be delivered. I don't care if his code's poor in the sense that it doesn't impact me directly. Yeah, I might care from a technical perspective to try to reconcile his game development experience or his game industry experience with who he claims to be and what he produces, but I'm not going to play his game. I don't care for his game. And the same people that do care for his game are the same people that say that it's okay for the game code to be slop, when in fact they're waiting on those same features that require the game code to be clean in order to develop and do so quickly. Now, I think that my views here can really be summarized in a dialogue that I had with Quinthio when I jumped on his stream yesterday.
Oh, he went on Quinthio's.
The video. The practices that he's employed so far are practices that I'd expect from somebody that watched Khan Academy for a week, not somebody that's been working on a project for 8 years, claims to, worked at Blizzard and been around game devs, or at some certain points claimed that he's a game dev. If he just came and said, this is what I produced, I learned game dev for 1 or 2 weeks, Khan Academy, I spent an hour or two every day, I'd say that's actually good progress. But to come and claim that you're some authority in the space, this is the code you've produced, to me, there is a massive disconnect between what you say you're capable of based off your background and what you've produced. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I think that really comes down to the heart of this critique of that claim, and that is that Pirate Software is constantly portraying himself as this sort of expert authority on everything that's wrong about nothing, and uses all this hyperbolic language and association.
So I'm not you ever played the Division franchise? Snowdrops is good, but it's monster of coding, manageable error, but some are too deep to fix. Well, yeah, that's my thing. I'm not saying that you should never buy a Bethesda game again because the creation engine is so unwieldy. I mean, Starfield a lot of people liked, even with all of the jank that came with it. But I feel like the more people look at it, the more obvious it really starts to become that hey, this is not looking very good. And that's kind of where I think it's going. And not, yes, I agree. Not everything has to be Expedition 33, right? That is a great gaming dev. They had, like you said, some good coders and things like that. But you can criticize them not actually fixing the problems that they have in their code. We can do that. They're not above that just because the code is unwieldy. That's still on, and it's not necessarily on the individual developers who are working with the code, but that's on gaming companies for not putting enough into those resources, or pushing the deadlines and things like that. I think there's more to it in the nuanced, but something's going to have to change, and I think that's going to be Unreal Engine. Though, is that going to be a good thing or not? I haven't dug too deep into it, but I know I've heard things being said that it has problems. I've had problems with Unreal Engine 5 games when I'm switching between the game and a screen. I've had games crash because of it. So it's going to have its own issues. Will those issues be resolved? Will it make gaming better. I don't know. I'm not on that side.
When in reality, what he's tangibly produced is below what you'd expect from a junior developer or even an intern.
People call me the Bob Ross of programming, which I think is a pretty big honor because I like Bob Ross's stuff.
Here, for example, he didn't say directly, "I'm Bob Ross." He said, "Everybody thinks I'm Bob Ross of programming." What does that mean?
Yeah, this is where like the disingenuous statements come up. Whether it's said by his audience, I don't know, or he just brings it up on his own. It's just really, really cringe to come up and like, I guess, pick this out. Maybe if someone made a comment about it, you might say like, thank you to that person. But I don't know that I would ever be like, oh yeah, man, that's what they call me. They call me the Bob Ross. But it's I agree with that. I am the Bob Ross of gaming. It just sounds super narcissistic in that in the industry or in the gaming space, in any space. If you said something like this, that you were comparable to what happened here? Comparable to some legendary figure, that it's just fucking cringe.
It's trying to paint the picture that there's a broad consensus that you are the best developer out there and you are the go-to guy for anything related to game programming, which is his niche.
You're a hacker. Like that's where you like kind of start. An actual hacker. Like,
Yes,
not like I'm a hacker type. No, you're an actual hacker. You've won
Like an actual hacker. Yeah, my last job was hacking power plants for the federal government. I worked for the United States Department of Energy.
So a dude walks in with a laptop and a suit, and you lean over to, who's that guy?
Oh, that's the hacker from the government.
Yeah, that's the hacker.
It's this kind of stuff. This is just like Kamoji said. This just screams janitorial special forces. Like, yeah, I worked for the government. Do you know how many like you know how many departments have some kind of cybersecurity team? Like it's a requirement. Like every building in the government has a cybersecurity team, participation awards kind of thing. Just because you're in cybersecurity doesn't make you a hacker. Some people just do the defensive side of it and they learn about this stuff, but you wouldn't call them a DEF CON hacker, right?
In like 3 to 4 man teams, man. So like we've got a team.
Oh, you had a fleet. You had like a team of dudes in suits holding laptops, walking into restricted areas.
No, this isn't satire or humor. Yes, these guys are joking about it, but look at Thor. He eats this shit up. This is what he wants. He pulls these comments out of nowhere and tries to make the story. He tells all of these stories about his great hacking ventures and how his first game is unhackable because he connected it to Steam, what are they called? Steam Awards, which it was hacked pretty much the instant that he bragged about that online. This guy is, for them, it might be joking and talking about it. Yeah, Steam achievements, but he is absolutely feeding this. He doesn't employ humor and satire. You're delusional. Just look at everything around Stop Killing Games and all the thing he said. I've read over the blog that he said from his friend. We've looked at the context of him talking about this game. He has no real experience. When he starts actually talking about the subjects, he falters and then won't say that he's wrong. You're delusional if you think he's using jokes and satire.
Okay.
When he says things like this, what he's trying to paint in your mind as a viewer is that he's some sort of Unit 8200 Mossad agent writing zero-day exploits on USBs that are snuck into Iranian nuclear facilities and that infest and shut down the entire technical operation of that nuclear power plant. When in reality, if you look at his LinkedIn and reconcile it against his skill set, what he did was social engineering. He wrote phishing emails and tried to gain access to credentials.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He wrote phishing emails. He's not like a hardcore. so this right here, the managed social engineering operations to improve employee awareness, infiltrated and exploited physical access controls, created, launched, and managed a global web application bounty program. That's all basic content that a cybersecurity guy at any company would do, right? Thor gained his fame by satire. No, he didn't gain it. He gained his fame by spreading his shorts all over the internet. One thing he was smart about is he realized if he just mass produced shorts and made very milquetoast takes, then he would start to get spread out in the algorithm. That's how everyone saw him coming. Social engineering isn't as hard as people think. No, it's really just networking with a few more steps, right? So no, he didn't get famous by using the satire thing. These are his genuine takes. He got famous by gaming the system, and then once people started looking more into all of his stories and everything that he's talking about, then it started to come out that he's this fake who doesn't do anything. And this has been a thing that's people have been arguing forever about him. He takes down he can't do it as much anymore, but he used to take down small YouTubers. Because of that one. Don't really? Oh, it's because of this. Okay, it's because of this. Let's do this. He used to take down small YouTubers that would talk about Maldavius fig tree, right? Now that it's out in the open, he can't take down the big people. Even when you look at the WoW stuff, he could just not take a hint that he was being an asshole. They kicked him out because he couldn't handle it. He wasn't memeing or anything like that. He's full of shit.
And user systems.
She was the guy that was famous for MS Paint shorts talking about his past. Then he expanded to being his character. Yeah, you're full of shit on it being his character. He was always this way. This is who he is in real life. And if it's the case that it's the satire, why hasn't he come out and changed anything since he's dropped over 100,000 subscribers in the last week?
That way. And so all this really culminates in the disconnect between who Thor plays himself up to be and then what he can produce. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that his GitHub is also totally empty. It's empty because he has nothing to show for his 20 years of experience.
How about that?
As a veteran in the space. Now, Pirate himself also responded, and he got a bit hung up on the fact that my mouse had some variable highlighted, despite the fact that I never talked about that variable. It's actually quite funny because I referred to every variable other than the one that he referred to in his reply. But skipping over that, he makes the claim that you can't define a Boolean in GameMaker because GameMaker itself doesn't have a native Boolean type in its scripting language. In other words, it interprets reals as Booleans. Now, to reconcile the fact that he used a Boolean in his code with what he said, I decided to do what any developer would do, and that is I consulted the documentation. So if you go to data types in GameMaker, oh, look at that. You are also provided with constants, true and false, which can always be used in your code to prevent any issues, should the native Boolean type be defined later. So GML defines constants true as 1 and false as 0, and the documentation itself even recommends that you use true and false instead of...
Dude, I've looked all over my Maldavius fig trees things. I've read his Kiwi Farms. I've watched his videos. Don't fucking tell me you know what he is doing. He is flat out lying about this guy and the story he tells. He's not... Depends when he rebrands himself. How is he going to rebrand himself when no one wants to work with him anymore? He is a freak who wants to be the center of attention, and now that nobody believes him, I mean, he's not going to fail, right? I'm not going to say that his whole channel is going to die, but he has pretty, outside of Ludwig and the other freaking retards that he's around, he's not going to have any credit amongst anyone else. Maybe you should look a little bit more into it. Liability Software.
reals in case that association between a Boolean and a real ever gets changed to a Boolean and some other native definition of a Boolean. So in other words, if they ever replace the aliasing of bools for reals with bools for actual bools, they recommend that you use true and false. But we know he's not going to concede on this point or admit the fact that he was wrong, given his track record. So let's move on to the next claim. Another comment that I've seen is that you've never worked with GameMaker, so you must not know what you're talking about. Another equally absurd variant of this is what he's writing is not C++, or anybody who has worked with technology or more than one programming language understands that languages are just toolkits. Each toolkit is uniquely positioned to solve a given problem. Now, while there might be unique features in every toolkit, essentially there's a lot of overlap. Okay? An integer in one language is going to be very similar to an integer in another. Every language is going to have for loops, etc., etc. So while the actual toolkit might be different, the same principles, patterns, and design decisions should apply in large part to any problem that you're trying to solve. The only difference is the tools that you use to solve that problem are going to be a little different. What does that look like in practice? Take that code snippet alarm 0 equals 0, alarm 1 equals 0, alarm 2 equals 0. You don't need to copy and paste that code every single time. I'd expect an intern or somebody learning code in Khan Academy to copy and paste. You can simply replace that all with a for loop. So what does it say about somebody that they haven't even considered to use a for loop for something as simple as this? If there's something that I regret, it's not being able to provide more substantive feedback. If you look at plenty of my other videos where I do a code review, I go into line by line the GitHub repository and break it down for my viewers, both saying what went well and what didn't go well and how can it be improved. But Thor didn't give me, or really anybody, the chance to do that with his code because all he does is share snippets and screenshots. You also shouldn't be representing an entire entity made up of health, position, maybe whether they're dead or alive, their ID, their inventory, as a number or an index into some array. That's not how you present character models or entities in game design. And I don't even need to be a game developer to understand that. I just watch 1 or 2 videos of the Cherno and I already know that's the case. So hopefully you guys found this video informative or interesting. I'm going to now move on to other news. So unless anything new comes out that I think I can bring my unique perspective to, I'm going to put Pirate Software behind me and just keep moving forward. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Cheers.
All right. So that was his take on coding software. He doesn't like it. So far, he has more credentials than Pirate Software does. Pirate Software has not really engaged with it. FYI, what kind of war gamer are you? Or is it the fact you're a vet? You do show gaming brain rot. Oh, get the fuck out of here, Tiamat. You sound like the kind of guy that thinks you're always right because you do 1 or 2 things, or you found the narrative that you like to believe. I was a tabletop gamer. I've been a gamer for, I don't know how old you are, but probably since you were in diapers. While I am not a fucking high-speed coder, I can still tell when someone's talking bullshit, and that's exactly what Pirate Software does. He talks bullshit, and he hides behind his own bad behavior. He calls his audience to go after people. There's already small YouTubers that he's taken down recently. So it sounds like not only are you an anti-woke dick rider, so Left Hammer or another game. Oh God, you're so retarded, Left Hammer. Get the fuck out. I don't know how you can say things like that and not realize how absolutely politically cucked you are. Oh, you're so afraid sitting in your little box thinking you're going to get transed that you have to say these retarded statements that I think a 4th grader could pull apart. So it's going to be an interesting talk. Yes, I play Warhammer. I play Infinity. I play, what are some of the other ones that I play? Of course, Dungeons and Dragons from back in the day. If you want to get into tabletop RPGs, I also do Shadowrun. I haven't done Cyberpunk, but I have some books for it. I've played, I mean, what do you want to go into? I came up through a comic shop that games, so I'm good at detecting idiots. You sound like you're an idiot yourself. When someone says I'm good at detecting idiots, they're usually a dumbass who doesn't know that they're the idiot. You will be ad hoc. Oh God, now we even got the debate bro terms. Yeah, so what do you mean Warhammer or tabletop? Warhammer is tabletop, you fucking dumbass. Warhammer is a tabletop war game. There are many like it. I've been getting into Crusader Kings. That is a skirmish tabletop war game. I've done both tabletop RPGs of a variety of fashion and other games. Yeah. Oh. And then I've been gaming since Nintendo. I'm here to support my favorite grifter. I'm always here. I'm here to make money, bud. It is it's a hard life out there. We talked about pirate software, so we're going to see if we can milk that for more views. You said the same thing. It shows BTW. I meant Warhammer or another tabletop. Did you not listen to what I said previously? I mentioned other tabletop games, you fucking retard. Go ahead and rewind it a little bit and fucking listen. I said Infinity. And I also mentioned Trench Crusade. Warhammer. You're probably trying to do, oh, is it Warhammer or is it Warhammer 40K? I said I played Warhammer. You're just not listening. You're trying to get this fucking win because you one-guyed me. We love grifting. That's right. We love grifting here. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the video. I'm almost past 60. I got one more that we need to get. Come enjoy the content as we grift off of the same guys. I'm going to say now that I think the pirate software stuff is dried up, but we'll see, right? I thought it was dried up before, and then and then this happened. So you can either believe everything. You're kind of a loser. Infinity, Trench Crusade. So what have you played, bud? Tell me about it. Tell me all about what great game that you have that's so much better than what it is. Another favorite of mine. I haven't played enough, but I've looked into the rule book and I wanted to get friends group together for was, what's it called? Frost something. What's the name of that game? Frost table top. Boom. Competitive war, and now I know why you're a little wretched freak. One of those smelly little dudes that fucking goes through competitive Warhammer in Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I played Magic the Gathering until it became a stock market. Though I didn't play at any fucking MTG. So you play 40K, then what's the problem with me playing Warhammer 40K? What's wrong with Infinity? What's wrong with Trench Crusade? To me, Trench Crusade, though it needs some work on its rules, is way more wieldy than fucking Nice Try and then still enjoy it to this day. What do you? Oh, you still? That's fine. Enjoy it. I don't give a fuck. It's now a money sink for most people. I have a brother-in-law who plays, and I've played with him a few times, but mostly he just collects the cards, and he'll tell me about a pack that costs like $100. People are just wasting their money on that game when it used to actually be fun just to play. I don't think there's any problem with it. Sometimes I think it's cool when they come out with a card deck that looks cool. Trench Crusade is a good idea, but you have ad hominem. What are my ad homs, you debate bro? See, the ad homs things is what people like to hide behind. They like to go, oh, well, you said something mean, right? Is this person a bot? I mean, he's starting to sound like it. So far, he's using the same language over and over again. He's running out of words to say. We're gonna pop this out 'cause I'm gonna play here for a minute. Finish building some stuff. There we go. That's what I need. Why? Oh, because I'm doing that. How's Dune, by the way? I like Dune. It needs the PvE experience. I love it. It's there's obviously work that needs to be done on the game, but it's not the my Warhammer knowledge is limited to 20 hours of Vermintide. Yeah, I was playing Warhammer before it was popular. Sounds like Tiamat might have been too, though I don't know how old he is. Still fun to play. Your system is only as good as the base. Trench Crusade is not going to work in the long run. The fact you didn't know it was using the base of not left hand. Okay, I don't give a fuck about the little deranged, what kind of left hammer rules you're talking about. Yeah, I don't need to dig into that retarded shit so that I can sound like I get a win from it. I understand the base of what it is, whether it whether I know where it comes from or not. I do think it has problems. I do think it has its issues. But that doesn't mean that I have to know what left hammer is. Or base of not left hammer. What is Sigmarxism, you fucking cucked, rightoid? When I listened to one of your edits recently, I thought you were outside talking, but then I saw you were playing Dune. That's funny. That's funny. No, well, so you have, this is probably the last stream for a while that I'm going to be playing Dune. It's RimWorld's coming out, and that's probably my favorite game of all time. So that's going to be my focus for the rest of this, or for a while anyway. So you'll probably get to listen to me yell at pawns for doing stupid shit and different things like that while I play. It's also a fairly easy game to play while I stream because I can put it on normal speed and just let it play while I'm listening to the video. Even in this one, I usually end up having to pause it. Let's move shit. Since I'm just moving around. Like here, I start talking and I stop remembering what I was actually doing. So, see what Tiamat's doing here is he's using one of those things where you don't know all of the inner lore, so you can't possibly have a good take on what's going on. There is no mainline lore, so they are undermining their world building. Literally, hell is winning, but controls nothing. Wow, you're one of those takes. I'm not even going to get into the lore with you. You're doing those retarded little breakdowns where you just can't possibly see where the lore could possibly go. There's so much more to it that it could be. Yeah, just because the side that's covered in the dark trenches is the hell side, that doesn't mean that the world isn't covered in trenches, right? There are attacks that are pushing back and forth all the time. Yes, the lore needs some work. It still has a lot of holes in it because they're building the fucking base now. Now, the biggest argument I could make is how long can you keep doing World War I with the lore, right? You eventually have to. This a Warhammer nut? Oh, I can be a Warhammer nut sometimes. I've fallen out of Warhammer lore a lot because I used to be really heavy into it because they've been like pretty much after a lot of the, what is it called? The Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. I started to fall out a lot of the lore. Like I love Dan Abbott's stuff. He's a great writer for them. And Eisenhorn will probably always be one of my favorite Warhammer books or series. But it just became about telling. There's no more hints, or at least the hints of things that are around are I don't know, they feel forced. So I don't feel like I'm discovering anything. Everything's kind of told to you. We know exactly how the Emperor, killed Horus and how he ended up on the throne. There's no more mystery around it. There's no more speculation. It's all been laid out. And I get furthering, there's arguments against furthering the story on the opposite end of it. Like, I like the idea of the Primarchs coming back, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're giving me the same mysteries that I used to have in it. Where Trench Crusades lore I'm enjoying because it's new, so there's a lot of mystery. I could very well see myself falling off of it in the future if they don't tell the lore right. Like I said, if it's based off of World War, if it's only ever going to be based off of World War I, then you're limiting yourself on a time frame. So every timeline that you make is furthering the story. Tiamat, though, is one of those guys that pretty much says you don't know enough about it to be a source. So I have to know about Sigma Marxism and Left Hammer to be the deciding fixture. He's that listen here. Listen, actually, he's the fucking meme when it comes to this. Again, sorry to bring the Wrath of Tiamat run while you're here. It's fun. I don't mind a little retard in my sections. I'll have to work on getting one guide, obviously, but it doesn't bother me. And I think it'll be interesting to really get to know him and talk to him on stream to see what his actual takes are versus what he's saying in the comments and how good his sources are. Boom, boom, boom. So, but yeah, that's my the lore is what's gotten me out of Warhammer, not the game itself. I think there were improvements with 10th edition, even though I haven't played it. 40K advances past of 10K years and returns eventually, so they advance the checking of the lore. You can enjoy the hobby. I mean, I do enjoy the hobby. If anything, I paint more than I play. I actually originally, when I made the Wargaming Dad moniker, I was thinking of painting as part of my channel. It just never really came around to it. I've run into issues of being able to paint as much as I like, and that's how I kind of got to where I am now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with them pushing the line. I remember back in the day, for years, they just wouldn't push the story along. Like, how many times did what's that fucking world? How many times did Armageddon get attacked? How many campaign books were around Armageddon getting attacked? It was like, okay, we get it. Armageddon has it rough. Can we do something else? Can we advance what's going on? You don't have to have the Emperor come back to life, but something other than what we got here. So I will say, me and Tiamat are probably the long timers. We thought Warhammer was cool before they started flooding the market with video games. Good luck with that. Yeah, we'll see. It's pretty easy to one guy me. Boom, boom, boom. Demolish, demolish, demolish. So I'm excited to see where Trench Crusade goes. I have my likes and dislikes. I'm still not sold on skirmish games. What's going to sell people on skirmish games is how quick they go. Like, most people don't play Warhammer for two reasons. One, it basically takes you getting rid of all of your savings and abandoning your family ever getting a meal to be able to to play and have an army. And then the other thing is it can take, 3 to 6 hours for a game. If you're not in on the rules and keeping up to date with them, it's going to push that 4, 5, 6 hour mark, and people just don't want to dedicate that much time to a tabletop game. I don't know. Well, I haven't been staying in enough with it to know how well, I don't think their skirmish game is doing too well. God, what's the name of their skirmish game? My brain is garbage. Warhammer. I barely even read Warhammer fandom or Warhammer anymore. Warhammer Home. And I'll be clear, I've never played Warhammer, the fantasy game. I've only ever played 40K. I want to say it was 3rd or 4th edition that I got into. Where did I just go? Warhammer 40K has its issues of trying to advance long narrative. They are using new gen writers, basically. Hell, that subverted their own end of Horus Heresy. New gen writers are just odd. Well, yeah, there is something about the way that the writing is done nowadays that I can agree with. I can't enjoy most new books anymore. I find myself, it's probably because I'm just getting old and I like the old type of writing. But even though Dune is kind of a weird book to read, it's easier for me to enjoy than some of the modern books. I'm a big horror guy in general, and I love to read horror books about Eldritch monsters or space or literally anything. And I just haven't found a book that wasn't they're all quirky. There's so much quirkiness in the book place today. A book can't just be horror. It also has to have something else. GW has a good skirmish game as well, but I'm the guy I'm the guy you fruit ex-vet failed, Jock. What are you even trying to say there? Marvel humor. Oh, gotcha. I missed it. Why do the female custodians in the lore without the model? That's still a massive psyop, right? So here's the thing that I say about that. Personally, I don't care. But on that note, I can understand why others do. I will say this, though. I have one of my best friends who, was in the military with stuff like that, is very much a MAGA guy, right? He's very right-leaning in a lot of his takes, where I'm more libertarian in a lot of my stuff. And we were talking about, the wokeness and things happening in Warhammer. And we got to talking about the female custodies, and his take, being very far to the right, was, yeah, that's what I expect a female custodes to look like, a roided up female. And I thought that was interesting and funny take, because it's the future. You can do pretty much anything you want with the future, but GW is going to have to understand that changing the lore angers people. That's just the way it is. They have to decide how much it's actually angering people. And I hate to say it, but if you're super against the stuff that's going on in Warhammer, I think a lot of it is overblown. They're making tons of money. We are far from the days muscular women is woke. Well, it's not even okay, the female custodies that they show isn't just muscular. She is roided out. I mean, she looks like a space marine with a female face is basically all that's left. And in a grim dark world, to me, it can fit. They call it a brotherhood. Yeah, I'll absolutely argue with that. I'll criticize Games Workshop for deleting the Brotherhood part of it to try and kind of like hide that fact. I think that was disingenuous. But redconning, I don't think is like an end all be all. That you can things can change within lore. That doesn't necessarily make it worse. I don't agree with like the God damn it. The wokey take of we have to make it more for other people. Well, no, you have your niche. There is an argument for fuck me. There is an argument for pushing too far for a wider audience, right? And I think it's more that companies are pushing for the smaller niches in everything so that they can get more money versus them pandering woke garbage. And you know, it's more that they're just trying to add, not take away, right? You get a good example is Pride Month. Comes around every year, the anti-wokers lose their mind, right? And there's genuine arguments. I'm going to go ahead and say out of the way, the kink or pride stuff is fucking horrendous. It is illegal. I'm sorry, it is illegal. But the rest of Pride Month, like what's the term they used to use? The issue is they dropped it in the same edition, but GW, other companies want their space to go mainstream. It opens up the niche spaces to other BS. Yeah, I mean, the thing is when a company wants to get big, they want to grow, right? So that's yes, they're trying to appeal, I agree, to the wider audience. But some of the arguments that the woke bring up with this are just absolutely brain dead. Like the painting of the train when GW had the models that were painted by somebody that were all of the flavor of woke flags, right? Painting in Warhammer is a completely different part of the hobby than the actual table. Like you could say that they don't necessarily always connect, right? In the sphere of doing competitions like you do, there are rules around having your models painted, but a lot of the guys who are serious into the tabletop don't necessarily paint their own models. Some of them do. Cerberus, the bisexual French guy, yeah. But when it comes to painting, people can paint their models any way they want, right? You know, my daughter will paint, you know, her Space Marines pink if I have her paint with me, or you know, whatever she wants. It may be a more girly color, and I'll paint those with her. The painting side is completely irrelevant. They're your models. You can paint them however you want. I don't care what GW pushes on that level. They're not trying to trans people by pandering. That's the word, pandering to other things. Everyone gets pandered to. So, and that gets back to the argument, like the tiny little article or the tiny little pandering that Smash JT lost his shit over about a backpack and some other stuff. It's just pandering. You can get over it. You can say I don't like that or I don't believe in that without being a pandering retard. Cerberus XT is literally the left representative of that side, and he turned it to his thing. They are softening the lore, but it's fine versus one theme. I had a fun interaction with a Warhammer guy that was colorblind, and he would always be asked why his minis were painted this way. That's funny. Were they decently painted, or were they just multiple colors? Meeting or was he colorblind in the way he could only see certain colors so that his color schemes weren't what you would consider the normal color scheme? Cerberus XT. I feel like I know that name. I feel like I got blocked by a guy like that when arguing surgery scars in Dragon Age. Probably wasn't the same guy. I think I think they were decently painted. Yeah, you'd be surprised who can do good paint jobs. So modeling in itself is even its own painting. Like kit bashing people do crazy stuff. I can do a little work with green stuff, but I can't. I make the joke about the left hammer people, but they are being pandered to or used for props. Well, yeah, okay. Like I said, everyone's getting pandered to and being used for props. Here's the thing: the big corporations do not care about the gays, right? But they do see that if I pander to the gays a little bit, they may buy our stuff or play our games, and then that adds a 0.1% growth to the amount of stuff that they get, right? Warhammer 2 is on top of that a very expressive hobby when you get into the modeling and the painting and stuff like that. Like it just screams that anyone can do it. Not anyone can jump into the other thing, but GW also has tried to soften and change the lore of Slaanesh. ASO, they do it. They're not doing that for the gays, though. They're doing it for the normies. Buy models, but if they lean towards them, they don't buy it. Let me see. Let me read that full thing again. The GW has also tried to soften and change the lore of Slaanesh. ASO, they did do it. They don't buy models, but if they lean towards them, they don't buy it. Okay, so the problem is you're saying that like they're softening Slaanesh. I get that reasoning because that's Slaanesh is the porn god amongst other things, and I would argue that if they're actually pandering to like trans and the degenerate gays, right, that always make the news, then keeping Slaanesh the way Slaanesh is would be the way to go. More people would flock to that. But they're not softening it for trans people or gays or for the lefties. They're softening it for normies. They're softening it for the mom who isn't going to let her son play the game because she finds out that the models of Slaanesh are just a bunch of tits. That's what they're doing it towards. Activists or left-leaning propel, they want to pander to, don't create a mystical wider market. It's not about a mystical wider market. These are just the same woke talking points. It's about a small percentage of money coming in. Soccer mom proofing. Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it, is soccer mom proofing. Slaanesh has deeper lore, but it's always been there. God of excess. What is excess? Yeah. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's not just the surface level stuff. Like, yes, Nurgle, my favorite god, is the Lord of Decay, but he's also the giver of gifts and eternal life, and it can be strewed to be the eternal life. Nurgle doesn't just make you like the bugs and things like that. He makes you sick and then offers you a release from your pain. So Slaanesh, when you talk about Slaanesh, it can be any excess. A painter's excess to the point that they start using more drugs, doing more degenerate things, using blood and fluids to paint. Slaanesh can be, it's not even always involved with art. Like, there's a lot of things that you can go into excess. Perfection for the Emperor's Children is that mode. Like, I don't really, it might happen, and I don't know that I've ever seen it in the lore, but the Emperor's Children aren't like a sex cult. They're perfection to the point of extremes and sensation to the point of extreme. They have noise marines because normal sounds no longer do anything. They can't listen to music, just normal music. It's too dull. So yes, there's a lot of really deep lore that when you start getting deeper into Warhammer is amazing. I love looking on the the lore of Warhammer, going all the way back to the Star Eaters, and God, there was the first Chaos beings that started after the old ones and the Necrons started fighting, that would, come out of nowhere, that were just basically like gods unto themselves. There's so much deep lore in Warhammer. Like I said, a lot of my hate of the new content is I never think the Horus Heresy should have been told. I liked it being stoked in mystery more, and that's probably just an old man me thinking it was better. My music was better in the old days. But yeah, soccer moms, that's 100% what I think they're pandering to. They're trying to pander to younger children. They don't want some lefty politician to come in, and activist, like you say, and start or even a righty. I could definitely see a conservative coming into Warhammer and seeing some of the shit that goes on around it and saying that, some of the same things they've said about gaming, where it causes violence and no one should be reading this. They learned from the Satanic Panic from the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh days. Oh, I mean, this is, you go back to the Dungeons and Dragons Satanic Panic. 84 and all of that stuff. That was even before I was born. So yeah, they know they still have to walk a line. The problem is they have to walk a line with everybody, and they're never going to get it right. If they lean too far to one side, they get a bunch of hate. And if they lean too far to the other side, they get a bunch of hate. The problem is I think we're past the point where any of them are actually losing money over this stuff. I don't think much money was considerably lost in the woke days, though I think my personal take on the woke days is COVID pushed, like the internet went completely woke around that time. Right? Even you could say before that, you could see the start of it, but it got really, really loud. So, a lot of the games that started getting produced around that woke era, around the SJW era, was because the gaming industry, in most media industries, for that reason, saw what was on the internet and they thought that's what everybody wanted. So they made all of their products pushing towards that. With things like games, it takes years for them to make a game. We're up to like 5-6 years to finish games. So yeah, we're pretty much at the end phase of a lot of those games finishing up, coming out, or now they're actually starting to cancel them, realizing that it could be just like Concord, where the game is so bad that they just have to refund and they take the loss anyway. See, the issue in WOTC was always left-leaning. It never had a chance. OTC heads are and always left-leaning, whilst their base was normie or conservative. This there. I mean, I hate to say it, this wasn't a problem until things got so politically on the internet. Right? I never went to a game store and worried about the political leanings of the guy that I was going to play with. I never worried about, the lore being too left leaning or too right leaning. This is a thing that's happened because the internet has become so vitriol towards everything. And now all you have is the extremes, right? Yes, there are a lot of left leaning, gamers and all of that other, gamers and tabletop gamers and RPGers and all that stuff. Nerd culture has always been that way. What's going on, Simon? What did I miss? We are discussing Warhammer and tabletop games and wokeness in general. And you probably shouldn't care, to be honest. It really doesn't matter to me. I mean, there I don't have a problem with people bitching about things. Like, I was very much a hater of what's happened to Star Wars. And, you know, woke was in my definition when that happened. And I really do think that the movie industry in movie industry is the reason that movies are the way they are is the movie industry in Hollywood is very isolated, rich industry of lefty people, and they always keep making that. I do TTRPGs. When do you think D&D started to decline? Around 5th edition or slightly before? Niche spaces, they changed their market. Personally, I think the decline, my personal take is the decline was when Hasbro took over, but I think the decline really did start around 3.5, if I have to say it, because they tried to move to a easier system, trying to do that same thing, right? Trying to appeal to the masses, because 3 and 3.5 were such math, based games. Like, you had to know everything that was giving you a bonus and then roll your dice. And so when they made 4th, it was just that appeal to make it as simple a tabletop game as possible. 4th wasn't an RPG, it was a tabletop game. I think that's when they really started to fail. They brought it back a little bit with 5th edition. I do like the simplicity and the ability to adjust around 5th edition. But now it's the same thing. They're falling into we want it to be we want it to be a online tabletop RPG game. I didn't know Dragon Age has always been woke. It's always their tagline. I swear brands don't survive going mainstream. They change the stuff to appeal for what built them. So I think the it's always been woke thing of Dragon Age, since you keep pushing me off onto other topics, is overplayed. Dragon Age has always been political, right? And it's not been afraid to tell stories. There has always been, from, if I remember, I'm trying to remember the first games, gay characters and things like that. But it's never really been, like, I don't consider a gay character in a game woke. It's just a gay character in a game. There's been gay characters since gaming's been a thing, right? Well, since gaming has started telling stories, I'll say. Not really. Brands do survive going mainstream. Just look at any sports game. Yeah, or COD. Well, so the thing with like COD and sports games is they really hit that normie niche. Everyone I know grew up playing Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that. That was some of the first games that you connected with your friends on, right? That was some of the first multiplayer games. I have nostalgia from, doing LAN parties with Halo. Halo 2? Yeah, Halo 2. But I also have like a special place in my heart for when I started being able to play from home. I didn't have to plan for a party. I could just log in and play with my buddies. I played enough Dragon Age to know that it was woke difference. They weren't obnoxious about it and didn't make the politics their whole idea. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really deep subjects in it as we keep switching through stuff. They've always, but at the same time that they've been woke, they've also told stories of racism, classism, murder. Did they have rape in them? I don't remember if any characters got raped, but I mean, they've always told it was a dark setting, right? Most people don't like Inquisition, but I still stand by Inquisition's trans character being one of the best depictions you could do in a medieval RPG for a trans person. Is there some points that I think people have pointed out that are I mean, the idea there is always franchise stuff. Yeah, and franchises have their problem, but like I said, it's very woke ideals, and it done well, right? A lot of old media had racism commentary in some way or form. True. Well, I think those stories can be very interesting. Veilguard was just an abomination that was written by a bunch of people who don't know jack shit about the series. 100%. Listen, people have have said that that Dragon Age Veilguard was the death of BioWare. But BioWare died a long time ago. It died, and EA has worn the skin of it for years. All of the best devs from BioWare, or at least I'm coping about all the devs that left around that time, left immediately after Anthem. They knew that they were no longer going to be able to make the games they wanted to make, and they dipped. And I am so salty about BioWare. BioWare made my favorite games for years. There was two of the first computer games, or four, we'll say. I received 2 box sets on my birthday from my dad. One box set had Fallout 1 and 2. I am a traditional Fallout game. 3, while I give it its props, is shit compared to 1 and 2. Same thing as the other box was Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. And I played those games for hours. Same with Fallout. I played it for hours and hours. First computer games. So to see, well, Fallout wasn't BioWare, but you know what I'm saying. Then, wait, Bethesda. Am I getting this wrong? Did I go too far back? Now I'm questioning myself that my brain is broken. Yeah, Baldur's Gate was made by BioWare. I wish my brain was working. Baldur's Gate. Fallout 2 wasn't. Yeah, I know it wasn't Bethesda. Bethesda bought it for 3. I knew that the whole time going in. Don't speak the tomes to me. I was there when they were written. Yeah, BioWare. I don't know why I was questioning myself on that. I mean, there were other developers involved, of course, and then Lyrian Studios being the next one. But then, okay, Boomer. Simon, don't start with me. I've already been getting wound up by Tiamat, so I will time you out. But then you have like SOTOR, or Star Wars The Old Republic, not SOTOR. Star Wars The Old Republic 1 and 2. You're talking about a Star Wars fan, age showing grandpa. Kamoji, you are not free from it either. Oh, I'm not going to sit here and get one guide by my own chat, all right? And then you get into Mass Effect, shivers. You get into Mass Effect, and what else did BioWare make? The original Dragon Ages, and it was like my slop growing up as a kid. I was always ready for the next BioWare game, and then we got was it Andromeda or Anthem that came out first? Oh, then they got bought out by EA, and at that time, EA had already a reputation for closing down companies. So we were doomerism all over it, complaining about it. I completely forgot what I was talking about. And then I don't remember which came first, Andromeda or Anthem, but Anthem was the killer. Anthem was the killer that just, it was, I played Anthem, I bought it. I was like, I was coping so hard. I was like, this is going to be it. We've got still the old creators. They're gonna, like, yes, it's a live service, and we all actually hated live services back then, but it's BioWare. The story is at least going to be good. I got into the game and I was like, BioWare's dead. And then the articles started coming out about them leaving, and I was like, well, it's a corpse. BioWare is no longer alive. It's it's being puppeted by EA to use its name to sell views, and that's pretty much what it was. But now that we've rambled on for quite a while, I think this old man's going to go to bed, because I haven't been sleeping as well as I should, because I've been up playing stuff like Helldivers. Next chat, we'll send me content if you ever want to, guys. You can head into my Discord. The link's down below. You can, I have a content channel, or a little content area that you can leave suggestions for me, for anything. Whether you think me a lefty or righty, if you want me to watch something in comparison to something else, I'm willing to watch it. Just know I'm going to give my take. Like and subscribe. I do this as a hobby, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to keep growing. So, and it doesn't mean that I'm not going to stop shilling either. I'm going to keep shilling. All right, man. Nice to talk to you. Yeah, it's always fun rambling. I like rambling like this at the end of the stream. I said maybe next stream I'll do something like this where I'm actually playing a game and not just standing there looking. Just got here, but have a good one. You too, Damage Sector. But anyway, before I start rambling again, guys, y'all have a wonderful night. I'll see y'all on Friday.